Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people for all ages, it is me, Carl, and we're back again. We're back better than ever, baby. It's Versus Chat. What you doing? How you feeling? How you living? How's your mama living? How your sister living? Baby, it's Versus Chat. What you doing? I know, I am very late. I'm late by 2 minutes. That means I'm pregnant for 4 months. How you doing, baby? How you good, children? How we at, boys and girls? I got shit for you today. Oh, boy. Things have happened, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a ride. I can tell you that much. It has been a ride. It is a ride beyond expectations no one can understand. We've seen some shit. We've been seeing some shit. We've finna talk about some shit. Then on Friday, when the game properly drops, for those of us who are not fucking digital download cucks that got to get it 4 days early, we'll be playing some shit. G-Jump, you were just trying to turn me on to a bunch of shit. I already know about Chell from El Dorado. I've known about her my entire childhood. But anyways, baby girls, baby children, if you are not familiar with how Versus Chat works, I will explain to you what we do here. We will be talking about some bullshit, we will be getting into some videos, we'll be discussing some topics, and we will be also digging into controversies surrounding the topic today, which is, as you have seen from the title card, Hogwarts Legacy. Specifically, people trying to do the boycott of it. Specifically, people talking shit about it and trying to drum up controversy about it. And of course, the never-ending cry fest that has been had about everything involving this, as well as paying homage to a man who's responsible for even making it so that the Wizardry can be down with the negadry. So far, some of my guests have yet to arrive, but hopefully they'll be able to slide in. Why do we have to talk about the controversies? Because Carl needs money. I'm not gonna lie to you, Carl needs money. But also, it's because I want to see you all, people. I don't get to see you all the time. Y'all don't always get to join in video game chats and shit. Not everybody likes watching me play video games. So instead, we talk about some things, and we hang out inside of the Discord. Link here on the top of the screen. Go ahead and type that in and just click the link, and you can find it up here on the screen. You can find it in the description bar alone. Pile into the green room! Come talk to your boy! We're doing shit! Rip.
Well, I should preface this by saying that I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. I didn't grow up with it. I was told to stay away from it.
Like your mother?
I mean, yeah. You know, like, I wasn't technically allowed to be into, like, any kind of fantasy.
My mother was the exact same way about Diablo, which is really weird because if she had actually looked at it, it's like, Mom, I want to play this black paladin who smites demons with his sword. And she's like, no, son, that's the devil. Are you sure? He's got a holy symbol and everything. It's got a cross on it. No, son, it's the devil. It's bad for you. It was a whole fucking thing. I think all black parents were like this, and all parents in general were like this. It's really dumb when you think about it, but at the same time, I understand where she was coming from. But at the same time, Mama, I want to smite the demons. Never mind the ones that have giant tits on their chest and forehead and backside. Don't worry about that. I'm smiting demons. It's for the Lord. It's for the Lord.
Oh, what's that freaking like B-list movie where the priest is like an action hero and he says, I kick ass. He's like in Australia, he says, I kick ass for the Lord.
I know what you're talking about, but I forgot what it is. Fuck. I'm sad. I'm very sad. Make sure I found all the things I need.
Hold on. Let's have a look. Dimitri Monroe social page. Yeah, fairly sure.
I made a video.
Fairly sure Dimitri has been shadow banned by YouTube.
Monroe?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's alright.
Probably because of that last video, people were like, "Oh, he made a video that was very transphobic, and he should die."
It's like because he gets good views relative to his channel size, and he makes long form content, which is like the YouTube meta right now. YouTube like long form uploaded content rather than live streams, which is like the meta right now. But like the channel is only losing subscribers. It just makes me think that the chat that like for the time, since he makes like video essay content and long form, like quality over quantity, which again is like the meta on YouTube right now, he should be seeing growth of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
He does live stream video games on his other channel.
Yeah, I know he live streams because he used to be on Twitch, but he changed it up. But
they changed it up. He was banned on Twitch.
Yeah, what had happened is more than likely because of the uptick of content creators like Finster. I don't think they're actually trans. I think it's just a femboy who's basically been locked into his chat for like over a year into having to wear ghost clothing, that they thought that he was a political extreme leftist, but because he did not do the things that they wanted him to do, it was a issue.
Finster, from my understanding, is he's not even like a femboy. He dressed. Basically, he got told that he looked a bit feminine, so on one stream he dressed up as in girls' clothes as a gimmick, and then it got him like a load of growth, so he just ran with it.
Yes, exactly. They thought that Dimitri was like Finster when he's like, no, bro, I got a long dick. I just like looking like a twink so that I can get access to the women. And they banned him after him finally getting to the point that he could become a partner, and then he just went to stream on YouTube, which realistically you could be doing what I've been doing, which is just simulcasting on both platforms. I had experimented last month with using the $20 tier of Restream to stream to 5 places at once. I streamed it on YouTube, Twitch, and then I had sources for Twitter, and I think the last one was supposed to be a mirror for my side channel as well. But the problem is that YouTube was annoying as fuck about this, because if you play music on YouTube, they lose their fucking shit. Like, unironically, they lose their fucking shit. They lose their shit in ways that don't make fucking sense. They get angry at you, and then that was a whole kerfuffle that I actually covered. Because when we talked about this with the fallout that happened from YouTube basically gave me a strike on both my channels. Both my main channel and my side channel. This is my Twitch mirror, where I usually just export and upload the content that then gets clipped down and cut down by my editors. And what they did was that they forced my side channel to take a strike and made it the warning strike, so that then it puts you on the actual 3-strike policy system. And they reverted the first strike, but refused to take away the other. And it was specifically because they claimed you were promoting spam, deceptive practices. But there was no deceptive practice, there was no scam, and there was no nothing. It was specifically them abusing the system to just punish you. It's not the first time they've done it to me, because they did the same thing to my first channel with somebody who tried to blackmail me. So a relevant person is the old ex-producer of Poe's podcast for Digital Blackface. They tried to manipulate my videos and use them to try and fuck with me. The video in question that they did that on is still up on my BitChute. At some point, I need to get a Rumble and start uploading my backlog there as well. But people, you can be able to go there and you can see that the bullshit they did it for was literally just they were angry and upset. They made a whole blackmail video that they have now they've now privated if they haven't already deleted their entire account. Producer's name used to be The Burner Show. Is literally a loser who just their grift was trying to create podcasts. They couldn't make a show themselves, so they latched on to Poe, and Poe stupidly gave them control of his old server. Used it to try and usurp him. Tried to pull a Medicare / Tonkasaw Chudbud bullshit to make bullshit. I'm looking for the word. The word's escaping me. Really watered down digital blood sports and tried to blackmail me to go on to the podcast that he then hijacked. People can actually go to my current account, which was my first account, and you can actually see all of those things if you want to go far, far, far back looking for that reference. It was a whole thing where we had to expose this, and me running defense for Poe is what got me set strike, because they did it to try and fuck me over. But lo and behold, years later, the same tactics were being used here on the developer of Hogwarts Legacy, specifically one Troy Leavitt. I'm trying to size up the screen so that we can have this in a frame. But for the presser, so that everybody understands what's going on, I will play said video for you, specifically talking about how that happened. And without further ado, I will attempt to start the show. Also, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, two of my guests will not be able to join us on call. Aiden and both William are sick. They're down with the sickness, with the thickness of the ebony, the blackness of darkness and whiteness, and the brightness and lightness. So they're going to be joining us in the chat room. Aiden's already here. Aiden, how you doing, baby?
Evening, Aiden. Big ups to you as always.
Yeah. Alright, we will be putting this on double time, because unfortunately, we have a lot to cover and we have a lot to talk about.
Have you guys heard about this new Hogwarts Legacy video game? I've been checking it out and it looks pretty cool to me. I can't wait to play it. Hi, I'm Troy. So, as you may know, I was a past developer for Hogwarts Legacy, but it has been nearly 2 years since I last worked on the project. The game has advanced tremendously in that time. When I was there, I was a senior producer working in support of the NPC behaviors team and the castle and its contents team. Now, because I was heads down and focused in on really just those two aspects of the game, there's an awful lot that I haven't seen. For example, there are many quests that I've never experienced, enemy types that I've never encountered, spells I haven't tried, gear I haven't worn, loot I've never collected, and even entire storylines that I haven't experienced. I spent so much time inside the castle walls, with just a little bit of time visiting Hogsmeade, that anything outside of that is largely fresh territory. So, I anticipate spending many happy days getting fabulously lost in the wilderness of forests and swamplands. I'm excited because, quite honestly, a lot of the game will be brand new to me. I also fully expect that I'm going to need to be visiting a fan-made wiki at some point, just so I do not miss anything. So, as we await the release of the game together, I thought I might share a thought or two that I've had as the time draws to a close. Now, my intention in doing so is to deepen and enrich your own forthcoming Hogwarts Legacy experience. I certainly don't want to say anything that might diminish your own discoveries, and so what I have to say here will be scrupulously 100% spoiler-free. Even so, with that being said, this is probably a good time to emphasize that I am not a WB employee, and I do not represent Avalanche Software in any way. I'm just Private Citizen Troy now, and a fellow Hogwarts Legacy fan. I just happened to get a small taste of how delicious the game was going to be while it was still being cooked. And so now I'm looking forward to digging into the full magical feast that has been set before us. And by Merlin's beard, I think this is going to be so much fun. So the first thought that I want to share with you has to do with why I've been so consistently supportive and confident in the game. That has to do with what I perceive as one of the main historical strengths of Avalanche Software. In the early days of development, Avalanche approached the design of the game very much how we had approached the development of our past titles like Disney Infinity, by seeking first to understand and respect the IP for which we would be developing. Many folks in the studio were already big fans of the Wizarding world. The rest of us quickly worked to come up to speed on the ins and outs of the property so that we could be genuine fans ourselves. This meant that we immersed ourselves in the books, the films, the lore, and the music before we started to narrow in too much on a specific game feature or mechanic. The decision to make an open-world RPG emerged from this early exploration of the IP. It was ultimately what felt right for what we thought would most appeal to fans. We felt that our core audience really just wanted to have the experience of attending Hogwarts themselves, as opposed to playing as some other character. They wanted to live out their fan fantasy of being whatever witch or wizard they imagined themselves to be. I believe that this philosophy of making the game by fans for fans permeated most of the design direction and production decisions throughout development. The game was intended to be fan service from very early on. By setting the game in a time frame that hadn't yet been explored in the books or films, allowed us to centralize the player character where he or she wouldn't be overshadowed by other well-known characters. That's what the Live the Unwritten tagline is getting at. It also, therefore, afforded us the most opportunities to make the player into the central hero of his or her own Wizarding World story. When Alan 2 speaks of the game being your Hogwarts legacy in the behind-the-scenes video, I feel he is underscoring this key philosophy. We wanted to make a game that felt welcoming and inviting to everyone and anyone who wanted to visit our version of the Wizarding World. So, our target was simple, to make a high-quality game that we, as fans ourselves, would find satisfying, authentic, and enjoyable. I view the effort to make the character creator more robust in terms of race and gender options to be in line with this goal. It was a way to extend the invitation a little wider, so that even more fans could see themselves represented in the Wizarding World. What this means to you, as a new player, is that you can expect the game to reward fans who pay attention to detail. As you make your way through the game, be sure to drink in all the richness and all the many, many tie-ins to establish Wizarding World lore. I am also of the opinion that, although the game is not officially canon, it has been so meticulously realized that it will eventually become recognized as such. In fact, and I'm just speculating here, but it wouldn't surprise me to see a new film or series spin off from this game. I guess we'll see. The second thought I want to share with you is related to the first. Now, in my opinion, I suspect that my departure from the studio served as a sort of canary in the coal mine situation for the Hogwarts Legacy marketing team. It alerted them that they were dealing with a press environment that was considerably more hostile towards the game than I think any of us had anticipated. Now, I don't know this for sure, but my guess is that they decided to change some of their PR and marketing strategy as a result. They decided to take the game directly to the fans, which is who we were making the game for anyway, rather than to try and swim upstream against a biased press that seemed dead set on overshadowing all the good work the team was doing by painting everything with the starry brush of controversy. I believe that this direct outreach to the fans from community manager Chandler and the rest of the Hogwarts Legacy community team was a masterstroke of marketing brilliance. And, well, you could see the results for yourself. That direct outreach to the Wizarding World fans allowed them to catch the vision of what the team was trying to do, and they, in turn, became some of the biggest supporters and promoters of the game. Some of the most entertaining and informative video presentations made about the game, sometimes garnering hundreds of thousands or even millions of views, came directly from these fans. Furthermore, as fans pored over every new video clip, scouring them for new details and hints and bits of information, I think that they discovered something completely unexpected. They discovered that they were having fun with the game months before it was released. It turns out, they were already playing a Hogwarts Legacy game, just not the video game version. If you want to understand this phenomenon of constellating around the game in depth, I strongly recommend the brilliant 1999 Game Developers Conference talk given by Professor Brian Moriarty entitled Who Buried Paul? I was in the audience myself, so I got to experience it live. In my opinion, this is one of those lectures that all aspiring game designers must watch. I'll leave a link in the notes. I sincerely believe that there is a lesson in this outreach between devs and players. I hope that more game dev studios start to appeal directly to their core audiences. In our modern age of social media where fans and developers can readily interact, the need for a gaming press to act as an intercessory go-between has been greatly diminished. I think that Hogwarts Legacy proves this, and I personally see this as a welcome and necessary change in our industry. And now, for my third and final thought. To be fair, I need to give credit on this one to a transformative 30-minute one-on-one conversation I had way back in 1998 when I had only a few years' experience making games. That conversation was with the then soon-to-be recipient of the Game Development Lifetime Achievement Award, Danny Button-Berry. Now, I've talked about Danny before, and so recounting here all the many reasons why she was so influential in gaming is beyond the scope of this video, so I encourage you to look her up afterwards. But suffice it to say, I was a huge fanboy back in 1998. I was a little starstruck that, after she had finished her GDC lecture about a game that she had been working on called Acrophobia, which was this kind of early precursor to the party games like You Don't Know Jack series, that Danny was willing to sit down at a table off to the side of the conference and share some of her thoughts about game development with a noob designer like me. This was back in the days of the PlayStation 1, and so the industry was transitioning away from being primarily 2D-centric into this new territory of going 3D. So too, multiplayer network play, be it via modem, LAN, or this newfangled internet thing, was also pretty new stuff, and there was a lot of buzz about emerging techs and how they were shaking things up. Personally, at the time, I thought that getting up to speed on these new technologies and their impacts was the most important thing I could do. However, what Danny told me completely changed the way I thought about gaming and game development from that point forward. In that conversation, she encouraged me not to get too focused in on any specific technologies, or really even to get too caught up in what is happening on a computer screen in front of the player. But rather, she said, she felt it was crucial to keep your development centered around the human side of things, to look more at the other side of the screen, at the player themselves, and how they were reacting and responding to your game. You see, games are a sort of a cooperative endeavor between players and developers. Games are a unique and special art form in the sense that they are participatory. The greatest graphics, the best frame rate, the most compelling story, or the longest feature list doesn't mean anything if you don't have a player to experience it. The game just sits there doing nothing until the player arrives to breathe life into your world. In the end, all that technology is ultimately in support of providing the player with an engaging game experience. This is one of those ideas that once it gets into your head, it starts to realign your entire worldview. Of course, when you start to put the player's experience at the center of your game design, it provides you with a powerful tool to help you make more engaging stories, more accessible user interfaces.
What are you doing, Carl?
It helps you to cut through all the technology scaffolding surrounding the game's features or performance.
I just can't sit here with a stony face doing nothing in the background.
It helps you to focus on what is truly important. Is the game meeting the expectation of the audience, and are they having fun? But there is an even deeper implication to this player-centric approach. You begin to recognize that without players, there would be no one to experience all those years of development.
Well,
and when that thought really sinks in, it sparks a rather unexpected emotion.
We're watching a video on the stream.
With a deep sense of gratitude for your players. Instead of thinking of developers over here on the one side of the screen and players over there on the other side of the field, you start to recognize that it's really not like that at all. We are all playing.
Did you think it was going to get streamed inside Discord?
What this means is that you, yes,
yeah,
listening to this,
yeah.
you the player,
I can do that.
In Hogwarts Legacy, you are the one
Oh,
bringing
thank
magic to
you.
the game. When you put that controller in your hands, fire up the game, and hear the music swell as those initial
No,
credits start
that
to
is
flow,
very helpful.
please take a
Thank you,
moment
Carl.
to feel that gratitude of the developers wash over you. None of this would exist if it weren't for you. So to those that are about to play Hogwarts Legacy, I want to say simply, thank you. Thank you for cooperating with the team to bring that Wizarding World vision to life. Well now, the time is short, and so it's time to get those wands at the ready, and game on, my friends.
Game on, like friends.
Hot.
To get those wands at the ready.
So, why did you, Carl? Why did you show me that? You see this? You see this man right here in this corner? You see this man right here, right here, right here? That's Troy Leavitt. That was the head designer for Hogwarts Legacy. Why is he important? Well, to do that, I'm going to have to expose you to a fat, ugly Italian for about a few seconds. But it's important because there's context to this. This is his message after this video was published, which was him giving an edited recording of why he's explaining why he was leaving Avalanche and resigned his position after being unceremoniously cancelled for making Wizardry down with the Negadry. But Carl, what could he have possibly done to deserve to be cancelled? Well, Pilgrim, I'm gonna tell you. And you're gonna get upset when you realize the reason why. So, anyone who knows going to know the context of the video that's currently on the screen, there's a known lolcow known as Vito Griswolti. This known lolcow is stupid and doesn't know anything about anything.
Vito, no.
However, this is not the reason why that's important. The reason why it's important is something that I do with the tools here in the middle of the video. I have to get to that point because it's a still screen and I have lost that fucking image that I use in question, so I need to find it here.
And then going live to try and talk shit about me and anyone else. He tried to grip being endorsed by it. He would have done the first, House has such a he's a lot. Audience, another podcaster and another. When you lie about things and you present them as true, not when you throw the entire weight of.
So, last time before there was media relevancy about Troy Leavitt. Troy Leavitt was and is a game designer who worked for Disney Interactive for 20 plus years. He is probably responsible for some of your games being made into movie tie-in games, and I know that he had hands with some shit involving Kingdom Hearts. Can't be exactly sure about which ones, because the American team was not always responsible for all the shit that happened in said games. However, you might recognize and know Troy Leavitt from another place, and it happens to be something that I did on my first account. I don't know if I have access to said thing, but I will try to find it on my first account because it is one of my well-known threads back when we actually had the ability to use moments. I made a thread about everyone's most hated internet activist following in the footsteps of one stupid fucking lawyer from Florida trying to get games banned. If you know what I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. Those of you who know about the man named Jack Thompson also should know about someone called Anita Sarkeesian. Why is that name important?
No.
Why is that name important? It is because
she's a scammer.
Yes, but more importantly, it is because if I can find my fucking thread in question in the first goddamn place. Here we go. This is on the bottom of the thread. At least one of the videos from here. That person deleted their account. Trying to find my first original one. Troy Leavitt, Troy Leavitt, Troy Leavitt, Troy Leavitt. Troy Leavitt, Troy Leavitt, Troy Leavitt. This is why I try to prepare all the things I have in question first. But, alright, here we go. Any person who's curious, who wants to read it in chat, I will link the content here. That is the thread in question, but I don't need all of that. I just need this. Those of you who are familiar with this potential piece of work, I'll even retweet it in case you want to read it on Twitter. There was a thread specifically made back in June 16th of 2019 by Anita Sarkeesian trying to put CD Projekt Red over a barrel to try and get representation on the game they were developing at the time, which was the project that became known as Cyberpunk. In this thread, I broke down how Anita is fucking retarded, but if you got to this part of the thread here, you will see that I am referring to a video. This video was made by Troy Leavitt, which was a string of videos made by Troy Leavitt refuting Anita's bullshit, and not just, you're wrong because I have experience, you're wrong because I've mathematically proven you wrong. I went through his numbers, and I reran them myself, and confirmed the shit that he was saying. Here's the crux of what you need.
A pretty sizable list, right? But how much of the industry do those games actually represent? To figure that out, we can start by checking Wikipedia to look at all the games released year by year over the same time frame. In 2012, there were 748. In 2013, there were 617. In 2014, 544. In 2015, 492. And to date, in 2016, there were 315. All summed up, this makes for a total of 2,716 games released in the years from 2012 till 2016. Anita's list of 99 offenders, including the E-rated titles, constitute just 3.7% of the releases. So, maybe the problem is not that pervasive. But let's be honest here, and further refine this list down to the ones that are the worst offenders. Those that are supposedly bad because they have an M rating. Games like Grand Theft Auto 5. These are the games that Anita hammers
Yeah, Anita's chola eyebrows are really fucking annoying.
on repeatedly.
She looks like she's wearing a fucking mask.
There's a flesh mask to hide the...
Like, around the time when this was happening, I was catching up and trying to finish the entirety of Marble Hornets. She just looks like the Masky Mask.
Now, when you do this, getting rid of the E and T rated games, roughly half of the list of offenders goes away. Anita calls out 46 M-rated titles between the years of 2012 and 2016. Now, when you do the math, you get only 1.6%. So it would appear that Ms. Sarkeesian is focusing in on a problem that impacts less than 2% of the total games released year over year. That's interesting, isn't it? You certainly don't get that impression from watching the Feminist Frequency series. So maybe I should include a little footnote, just for accuracy's sake. And I suppose if you're offended by one of those 46 M-rated games, you could always just go play one of the nearly 2,700 others. Again, games are pretty inclusive. There's something now out there for everyone. But even if it is a tiny subset of releases.
That is a 2-minute and 20-second excerpt from the video. Anita's Pinhole, a veteran video game developer, responds to Feminist Frequency. This was a series of videos on his channel, which I will demonstrate. It is probably in his most popular playlist of videos here. Yep, right here. Sexism in Gaming, of which he made 17 things referring to and reacting to these lies that were told by damn lies, bullshit lies, horrible statistics that would make... I think it would probably make... words are hard. I think it would probably make Aiden have a fucking heart attack. How badly statistics are used. And it's not just they don't know what they're talking about. If you read into this said thread that I broke down, you'll find out the actual reason why this is. Anybody who is aware of Radical Bites, otherwise known as Jonathan McIntosh, yes, the full Macintosh, was the person standing behind her who was responsible for this. This is something that Feminist Frequency was known for doing. They would crunch bullshit numbers based on lies, damn lies, and bullshit statistics that they specifically and explicitly cooked at conventions and expos like that of E3 to say that there's not enough games that we want in the industry so that she could run a grift to try and bully people. Troy was one of the few game developers, and probably one of the only game developers, who actively pushed against it, not just in video essays, but also in media and in the place where she was never allowed, a development video game room, to tell them that she was fucking wrong. So, how was Troy Leavitt rewarded? Also, thank you, Soppy Poppy, for the $5. Animate the shit out of me, bro. How was Troy Leavitt rewarded for this dumbass behavior of theirs? Well, that's why I had to show you this bullshit with the anatomy of a lolcow. How he was rewarded was he was blacklisted as someone who supported bullshit like hate speech and racism. As you can see here, this is a spreadsheet of just the few ones released in that month at the time of this recording, which was a year ago. I can't remember the exact date, but I want to say it was somewhere in the middle of June, July. From GameRant to Metro, like CBR, Polygon, Input, IndieWire, Delta P, and a bunch of other people, even including VG24, PC Gamer, the likes. From Kotaku to Onion to Polygon to Destructoid, Rock Paper Shotgun, every single publisher, and even sometimes a fucking article in Variety for some reason. Every single person threw a fucking pissy fit because he had the audacity to criticize their god queen. The little Dindu who never did anything at all. Far right, he was labeled, slandered, and antagonized to the point that he then left Avalanche because he did not want the bad press on his name to be used as a way to slander his game. This is that video.
Hello, Avalanche from the Muddle World. I'm out here now, but I want you to know I'm keeping up the Slytherin banner just so that you guys remember which house is the best. And if any of you continue to doubt that, remember I always have my one-word response. Merlin, House Slytherin. All right, well, I also realized that before I left, I didn't get to speak to all of you, and there were many questions I think that were left unanswered. So I hope you don't mind if I make this short little video, kind of hitting the top line of some of those questions, and then I'll allow some other folks to listen in because I imagine that they have some of the same questions. So with that in mind, I'm now going to hit you with another PowerPoint. Okay, so I know your time is precious, so I made an agenda, just 4 points here that I think probably hit the main issues. Why did I resign? How did the articles impact that? What do I believe now? And then what's next for me? So let's go ahead and get started and hit that first big one. Why did I resign? Okay, so first I need to acknowledge the logical inference here. I can see how people would make the connection between the timing of the press articles and my decision to resign. I mean, it makes total sense, right? But I also want to assure everybody at the studio that the letter that was read in the all-hands meeting is indeed accurate. As a refresher, here's the body of that letter. It reads, please accept my resignation from my position with Avalanche and WB Games effective March 12, 2021. I feel it is important to note that I leave with only the warmest of feelings towards both the Avalanche team and the WB organization. I greatly appreciate all the efforts they have made in supporting my move to Nevada and helping me to work through a difficult situation with my family. Unfortunately, things on that front have seriously deteriorated since the beginning of February of this year. I now see the situation as chronic and likely to be high maintenance into the foreseeable future. I do not believe that I will be able to take care of the family issues in my life while still giving the project the care and attention it deserves. That being said, I will continue to cheerlead Hogwarts Legacy from the sidelines as I wish for it to be gloriously successful. More so, I truly believe that it will be. Now, I know that part...
So, something that's important to note here. During all this happening, he had crisis trouble with his partner and his family concerning health, as well as the exacerbation of that health concern from them witnessing her husband and their dad get dragged in the media by fucking internet losers. Internet losers, ladies and gentlemen, that have things to say about the game like this.
Hogwarts Legacy game, you are contributing to transphobia. Even if you consider yourself an ally, even if you yourself are trans, you are contributing to transphobia. And that is not an opinion, it's a fact.
I don't give a fuck, Keisha!
The truth is that, I mean, I'm still going to listen to Kanye West. So, like, that's where I stand on this issue. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, if the game's fun to play, I'm going to play the game. Where the problem comes in is whenever they try to guilt trip and shame other people for enjoying something. It's like these people, they just want to play a video game. They don't give a fuck. You know, this is a person, you know, they're a fucking school bus driver. They have to deal with shit all day, every day. Do you think they'd really want to come and, you know, after all of this, that they want to come home and read about how they're a bad person because they're playing a video game? Absolutely.
And of course, dumbass shit that you've heard like this. I apologize for the cringe I'm about to expose you to, but it's very important that we get to this.
So Hogwarts Legacy is getting closer to being released, and I'm just going to say, as a trans woman, if I see you buying the game, I'm just going to block you. I'm not here to make you a better person.
Yeah, you know, I tend to agree. By the way, I want to announce starting next week, I will be doing a Hogwarts Legacy giveaway.
So Hogwarts Legacy is getting closer to being released, and I'm just going to say,
If you buy the Hogwarts...
I'm gonna stick it to J.K. Rowling, because when I get Hogwarts Legacy, I'm just gonna kill all the NPCs.
Big funny. Big funny, big laughter. See, it's important that you see the reflection of their disappointment in the glasses. That's how you know that they're super right, guys. There's nothing better than twee wearers that scold you while having reflective glasses. And you know what's better than that? A dank black man with reflective glasses laughing at you on the other side of the screen. I'm fighting the stereotypes one day at a time, ladies and gentlemen. This is a hard job. It's a hard job. They fucked with our aesthetics, and we have to take them back slowly. It's like what they did to all of our. It's like what they did to all our hobbies, but slower.
There is a petition signed with more than 1 million signatures to boycott this game, Hogwarts Legacy. Even like a month or two ago, the signature was only at like 100K, which is pretty wild, but 1 million just kind of blew that out of the park. Those who don't know, in the wizarding world, there's a lot of controversy with J.K. Rowling, who wrote the original books, and so the world wouldn't really exist without her, but she's made a lot of negative comments towards many groups recently, and so people are trying to basically not make this game go through. I'd also say that the community is pretty split on this one. About half the people saying that they really can't wait for this, and others saying that they're not going to touch it. Me personally, I think the game looks fantastic. It's actually about to release soon. I'm kind of just praying that it's good because there's never really truly, besides Lego Harry Potter, there's never truly been a fantastic Harry Potter game, and this one looks like it might honestly be amazing. Let me know what you guys think. There is a
This is a public service announcement. Now, as a lot of you know,
because you're supporting a property that is blatantly racist, an author who is blatantly transphobic, even though you say you have trans friends. Like, there's a shit ton that's really problematic with that universe. The elves being happy in slavery, which an allegory for black folk. Like, it's just super fucking racist and super problematic. Why is it a thing? Because why would you want to support somebody who thinks like that? Unless you too think that all of these things are okay. Now, you go on to spout off several different reasons why it's okay to play this game, and it's not. You're basically telling your friends that are trans or black or a person of color or Jewish that you can't be trusted. That's why it's a thing. You asked, I'm just giving you the honest answer.
Make something very clear. If you buy the Hogwarts Legacy game, you are contributing to transphobia.
I want you to hear me clearly.
If you play Hogwarts Legacy, you're transphobic. I actually think that statement is a very dense way to approach this topic. J.K. Rowling has made some very damaging comments about the trans community. I'm of the view that as people, we're all entitled to live our lives the way we want, as long as we're not hurting others in any way. And obviously being trans isn't hurting anyone. If it offends you, you're living in the wrong generation. Let's not punish a team of developers who've been working tirelessly on this game. Devs who could be the least transphobic people going and just want to make a good game. Hate on Rowling because frankly, she deserves it. Don't hate on the entire franchise. If you play...
So you got some cringe, you got some based, you got some common sense, you've got some absolutely besides themselves sense. Let's continue with his farewell video.
About private family matters is probably not for most of you, but maybe a quick review of the timelines in order, of which many of you are already aware. So first I got some difficult news in January of 2020, before all the COVID stuff began. And then by April, I had told the HR team that I was working towards retirement with the intent to retire in August so that I could move to Nevada and help assist with these family issues. However, as we went through that discussion, the Avalanche team came back and said, well, why don't you just take some time off, and then once you get set up in Southern Nevada, maybe you can come back online and try and see how well you can do while you're dealing with family issues. So that's why I was gone from the studio and the project from mid-August through mid-October, although I did make it back in time for Halloween. Now, some good things happened in those 2 months too. I sold my condo in Salt Lake City, I got engaged in April, and then married in September, which is awesome. Then I packed up, well, my new wife and I all packed up and moved down here to Southern Nevada. And then since I've been back in October, things with the family have been up and down for the past 6 months, but then things took a sharp turn at the beginning of February, and I immediately let the management team know that I was starting to reconsider maybe retiring in order to deal with those family issues. That was all before these articles dropped, but that lets you know the position I was in. I also want to make sure that that everybody understands how WB Games has interacted with me. I want to give them some praise. First of all, they helped me through all this transition down here to Southern Nevada and were very supportive through all that. Also, they really did review my videos back in 2018 when I first joined Avalanche. And at that time, they were clear that they said, well, this does fit within our social media policy, but we don't endorse anything you said here, which was fine, right? I was comfortable with that. I was just happy that they were willing to allow me to keep my videos up. Also, as part of my disclosure to them.
So, repeat what he just said there. I'm going to rewind it so you can hear it again.
When I first joined Avalanche. And at that time, they were clear that they said, well, this does fit within our social media policy, but we don't endorse anything you said here, which was fine.
This fits in our social media policy, but we don't endorse this. How wild is that? How wild is that? We don't, this is acceptable. Everything you just said here is fine. We don't agree with you, but you're allowed to say this. Nigga! How many times have we seen a person get fired Actually, you don't even how many times we've seen, did you pay attention to Limited Run, and how you fired a person off the word of somebody alone for doing their job because they supported Hogwarts Legacy. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you did not know about that, I'm going to allow you to see that for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. That was an entire fucking thing. Who do I want to use for this? Let's use Brett Cooper.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. Guys, I have one thing that I just have to say before we get started. Scheller is back in the studio. Scheller was out of town. That's debatable. If you get into that story, you never miss a comment section. North Carolina is in for their Twitter account. And yes, it was literally just over her Twitter account. There was literally a witch hunt to take this girl down. The employee's name is Carlin. She seems fantastic, and she follows right-wing accounts like Ian Miles Cheong, with TikTok, and more. And in addition to that, she apparently had the gall to express publicly that she was excited to play the new Harry Potter Hogwarts video game, which is apparently transphobic because it's connected to the number one turf of J.K. Rowling. If you don't know what turf is, it is the trans, exclusionatory, radical feminist, which basically means that the video game is very normal and will probably be very, very cool. Now, she tweeted about the game, which is what sparked this entire witch hunt. This Twitter account found...
I don't know what it is about Daily Wire and what crack they have them on, because I know she's one of their more popular panel users, but god damn it, she talks like Ben Shapiro, and it's throwing me off because I'm thinking like, nigga, did you have a cousin we didn't know about? But anyways.
The evidence. First, this is Purple Tinker, and they posted the community manager for Limited Run Games, Carlin, is a transphobe who follows a variable of who's of right-wing transphobe creeps. Unless and until she is fired from the company permanently, I am not giving them another single dime.
So, if you work in a company with losers like that of Limited Run Games, you run a risk on Twitter of having your entire career shuttered from you for the crime of saying, "Ayo fam, this game looks kinda not bad." However, over at WB, they at least have the standard of, listen, bro, you can say whatever the fuck you want about the Chola. We don't give a damn. We don't necessarily support the shit, but you can still work here, bro. And yet,
right? I was comfortable with that. I was just happy that they were willing to allow me to keep my videos up. Also, as part of my disclosure to them, I indicated that I may continue to make videos even while I was employed, and you can see that 2 of the videos on the list actually happened since my time of employment at WB Games. So they stood by their word through all of this. And then even after all the articles dropped, they did not in any way pressure me to retire, not in the least. In fact, they were continuing to be supportive. And I think that's good for you to hear, that I never felt like my job or my position was truly threatened. But in the end, I made the decision to retire just like I had planned to last August, and I'm very pleased with that decision because I think it's the right thing to do for me at this point in my life. All right, so let's talk about these press articles and how they figure into the picture. So the first thing that I noticed that I thought was interesting about the situation, and maybe a bit concerning, is that there was no instigating incident here. I had no accusations of misconduct, no criminal behavior, no HR scandal. I didn't even issue a mean tweet. The articles that were written were concerned purely with the civil expression of supposedly wrong ideas and opinions from 3 to 5 years ago. So when people ask me, was this cancel culture? Well, to me, it sure feels like it. I also noticed that some people say, oh, no, it's not cancel culture at all. This is just consequences for your past actions or some such thing. But even in that case, as ominous as consequences sounds to me, wouldn't that...
Consequences, ladies and gentlemen, consequences of your actions for the crime of having bad opinions. Which, if you remember, having to deal with the fat, ugly Italian, is the basis and the crux of his behavior. Because he was one of the said people in the background who led this hit campaign. To do that, we're going to have to listen to a particular section of how he behaved like this concerning Star Wars. Again, I have to expose you to a fat, ugly Italian because I need you to understand the context of the brain set of those we're dealing with here.
Have you ever had and the person who wrote the articles documenting these examples. You wouldn't suppose that he'd be so stupid to do something like that, right? Because what kind of dumbass would do that? You know, how stupid would you have to...
Things about race. But to extrapolate that out to, well, I guess Star Wars hates white people, buddy, your outlet has such an obvious ideological slant. Every article I read
thank you.
is biased in the same exact...
I mean, you made these same arguments on Twitter before.
Yeah.
There's nothing I've ever heard.
Look,
I
just so we're clear.
On Twitter. Like, I'm not here to, like, get in a fight with this guy.
Yeah, if that's the case, Vito, you said your point. I'm not here to try and, like, sandbag. Okay, you have a disingenuous, terrible outlet on here. These guys are liars and crooks. Have fun. But just so we're clear, Vito, he did. He's a liar. When did Star Wars say all white people are racist? You're a liar.
I'm trying to show you. Didn't do that, Vito. Never ever stood up for Gina Carano, who has been... I was like, fuck off, so whatever.
But so
Sorry for swearing.
It's fine. John, I wasn't trying to sandbag you. He had a question.
Oh, what happened?
That's what we're dealing with, people. It is a zombie sickness. They do not know what is up and what is down. They only know what they have defined as up, and they have defined you as the opposite of up. Whatever they are, it is up. And whatever you are, it is the opposite of them. It is a fucking brain disease. The way that they behaved here is the same way that they behaved here, which is the same way that they behaved here. It all connects in a circle. It's all connected. It's all Goobergate, guys. Everything's Gamergate. We've never left. We never left. It's still 2014.
Eternal 2014.
It's still like the person putting up like the sheet of
now,
like Gamergate over the year.
Yeah, it's now current year plus 9. It's current year +9.
I don't know what it is about Gamergate that just broke people like this.
It was the last time. It was the
to-
last time they had relevance. It was the last time they could be able to use a controversy to drum up clicks for them. But then after the years went by, they kept pulling everything to be Goobergate. They made this Gamergate. They made that shit Gamergate. They made everything related to Gamergate because they're all related to the same alt-right pipeline that made BreadTube rich.
This was the first major event where these types of people in a culture war context got pushed back, and it alerted people to just how screwed up things are.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, a lot of those people are, very fucked up and scummy, and you show them, hold up a beer to them, and say, like, this is what you are. They're like, no, I'm not. It's not me. I didn't do that.
This is why you'll unironically hear games journalists say Gamergate is responsible for Trump. It's like
This is responsible for Trump getting elected.
See, the reason why they say this is because they realize that, like, the reason why Trump got elected is because he got elected for very much the same reasons why people pushed back against them. It was the fact that it was believed that he was represented as something different from the establishment, and they, within the context of their industry, are the establishment, and people were pushing back against them in Gamergate. So they've connected these two on this massive stretch and said, Gamergate is responsible for Trump. Just like, no, you are the representative of a corrupt establishment within your industry, and Hillary Clinton was a representative of a corrupt establishment within politics. That does not mean that Gamergate was responsible for Trump.
Mm-hmm. To the next one. Also from the chat, Carl, did you know that the actress from Matilda is Ben Shapiro's cousin? Yes, that's why I said a cousin that we didn't know about. She has me blocked on Twitter because I proved her wrong about something, and she was very, very angry about it, which ironically was when she was trying to defend Lindsay Ellis.
Oh, no. Not Lindsay Ellis.
It's all connected. It's all connected. It's like
I
we're
wonder
all...
what she's even up to now. Like, is she, like, just drinking her life away at this point?
She is making content on an entirely subscription-based platform with all of her BreadTube friends. She constantly gets shoutouts from FD Signifier, but she's not making any public content because she had the wrong opinion about Raya in the last track.
It's just like... don't you hate it when everything just comes back to bite you in the butt? Like, all the things you said, all the things you said.
She has a fraction of her previous relevance.
Sad. Just so sad.
So, I don't know.
Basically,
something called journalism.
Just to say, basically, she has a fraction of her previous relevance, and while her BreadTube friends are trying to keep her alive very slowly, she's just fading into obscurity.
101, where you needed to be a responsible journalist. So on the responsible side of things, you would expect the articles to be fact-checked, or if there were issues, to be specific accusations and some supporting evidence, and that they might provide counterpoints to those accusations or evidence. However, if these were indeed propaganda pieces, well, then the narrative would be more important than the facts. There wouldn't be any accusations. Instead, there'd just be vague labels, kind of smearing of what I am supposed to be all about, with no supporting evidence, I might add, and that they would be very one-sided. This is how these articles look to me. And I also think it may be worthwhile to take a look at the propaganda techniques that I listed there on Wikipedia. In any case, that's how it felt to me, that this was more propaganda than anything responsible for these reasons. My defense in response is that I thought that people should just simply look closer at what was being said. For example, there are all these articles that I'm sure you all noticed that refer to me as a lead designer, or the lead designer, as though
and there's all the fucking things that I was talking about.
Entire project. Of course, we all know that's not true. I've actually been a senior producer since 2019 when they asked me to take on that role. I was hired originally as a lead designer in 2018, senior producer since 2019. That's very public knowledge. That's easy to get hold of. That's a fact check that takes one look at my LinkedIn or a LinkedIn page, or maybe one called WB. Then there are all these defamatory labels, that I'm alt-right or anti-feminist or misogynist, racist, bigot, all these kind of broad smearing labels that are hard to get a handle on exactly what they mean. In my opinion, or my estimation, I'm nowhere near being alt-right. I have no white supremacist tendencies. I don't consider myself anti-feminist in the least. Much to the contrary, I actually think I'm very pro-feminist, just for a certain type of feminism. That would be more of that equity feminism that looks to equate men and women so that we have equal opportunities, and so that we act more like partners with one another. And that's as opposed to kind of this more Andrea Dworkin approach that seems to seep into things where men are bad and they need to be, kill all men sort of hashtag approach. Yeah, that sort of feminism I do not get on board with.
You can begin to see the reasons why the mob attacked him. The man said, I'm not anti-feminist, I'm anti-your bigotry.
Further on the anti-feminist accusation, I should point out that at several points in my videos, I recommended feminists.
Also, based mom.
Who I thought were doing a much better job than, say, feminist frequency was. So I don't think that makes me anti-feminist, but maybe it makes me a cafeteria feminist. And then lastly, there are the videos themselves. And in the articles, they kind of...
Also, the person on screen that he just witnessed, that's Liana Kersner. If those of you have actually seen my timeline, you will notice that Liana Kersner has gone off the fucking deep end as of late. Even though she is still following me on my first account, she blocked me on my second account because she has gone the way of just some guy. Yes, that's right, just some guy. Who some guy? Just some guy. Who that guy? That guy. You know, the one who got fucking collapsed as a dorsoir because he got angry at one person writing a video essay about him. The one made by Omari Lawley. The guy who blocked every single person who was following him on Twitter because he was angry that he was getting upset about this. He and Liana Kersner are in the exact same group of people. He has always been a liberal. He has always been that kind of ground-trumping person. It was just that he happened to be a person who was put on the map because of the behavior that was done about The Last of Us 2. Specifically about the fact that the company tried to silence the opinion of relatively large-size, large-scope YouTubers who could be able to talk about shit. But unfortunately, they are all a part of the same fucking habit. Let's continue.
That makes me anti-feminist, but maybe it makes me a cafeteria feminist. And then lastly, there are the videos themselves. And in the articles, they kind of just allude to them and try and suggest what might be in them. But as far as I can tell, they didn't watch any of them. My defense of John Lasseter is certainly not a defense of sexual harassment in any way. Quite the contrary. It's like, I think he did some wrong things, but now he's willing to make amends. Let's give this guy a chance and try to forgive him. So it's a defense of forgiveness. For some reason, people seem concerned about my comments on saving The Last Jedi. But as you all know, I had done 4 playsets prior on Disney Infinity, and the 5th was supposed to be The Last Jedi. And so I was very interested in the script. And that particular video isn't at all some attack on Johnson or the movie itself. It's more just like, how would I have tweaked the script to make it more acceptable to fans? I do have various critiques of famous frequency. I don't really want to get into that. Only to point out the videos themselves refute the accusations. And then on the other hand, there's a whole bunch of videos that they never even mentioned that I think would sort of kind of exculpate me from the defamatory labels. The Joy of Wrong is one. The Games Lead the Way video. That's the one where I spoke about how character creation can help to address issues of diversity and inclusion in games in a very kind of non-confrontational, easy way to get into. There's a video on Shapiro's excluded middle. Anybody who thinks I'm far right? Well, in that video, I'm criticizing Mr. Shapiro's positions on abortion and on transgender issues and on religious morality. And then there's all these other videos I have on pantheism, religion, net neutrality, Black Mirror. I did an underground press from Venezuela on game development, the rise of AI. Heck, I even got a video on poetry. The videos themselves seem to undercut what the articles were trying to say about me. At this point, I think it's a good time to mention that while I was going through all this, I took a look at YouTube to see what the sentiment was out there. And I recognized that it was pretty positive. And so I wanted to note that I really appreciated the support of both the big and the small channels. And one of the things that I believe is that while big channels are really great for boosting the signal, you want to know how people really feel about things, pay attention to the small channels, because they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for the passion because of what they believe in. I also appreciated the informed criticism because some people did start watching the videos and then started taking them apart. And I'm like, good. Engage with my videos, please. I don't mind being criticized. In fact, as I say in The Joy of Wrong, to recognize that you are wrong is to have learned something. And the only way that you can know that you are wrong is to engage with opposing ideas. So, now that I think you have an idea of how bad I think this journalism was, what would a responsible press do? What would their response be? Well, I think they would issue corrections, maybe retractions, maybe even apologies. However, if the press is more inclined towards propaganda, I suspect they would double down. Maybe they would start blaming me or others for what they've done. They may misdirect or malign both myself or those who have supported me. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens next. So these are llamas. So a llama is a domesticated South American camelid, and it's widely used as a meat and pack animal by Andean culture since the pre-Columbian era. Now, llamas are very social animals and live with others as a herd. Their wool is very soft and loud and free. So what is it that I do believe? Well, right before all these articles dropped, I was celebrating on Twitter the landing of the Perseverance robot on Mars, and I thought that was fantastic. In fact, I didn't see that as an accomplishment of any one group or demographic. It's not white men who are doing this. No, I saw it as something that the entire species took part in. And that's very much how I view the world. I think that it's time for us to grow up and get past being so tribal over such petty things as our demographics, whether we're white or black, male or female, gay, straight, trans, it doesn't matter. In my view, we should be trying to minimize our tribalism instead of building walls around ourselves based on such shallow demographics. We should be building bridges to one another. And
while his ideas sound, the majority of the people who are responsible for even making him a part of the news will never let that happen. For examples, look no further than the attitude of those people who wanted to talk shit about the game. Specifically, about excuses.
At this point, there's no more excuses. There should be no excuses on why we cannot have actual hairstyles for black people in video games.
Did you hear that, chat? It's no longer time for make excuses about black hair in the games. No, there is. You fired you got the nigga who made that possible fired. The Wizardry can only be down with the niggadry because Leavitt put his whole Badussy in it. And now he's gone. You didn't defend him. You'll never get it again. It's gone! What did you do?
They all have to wear wigs. Ooh.
You did nothing, and he's gone now. But please, go on. What locks, braids, weaves, and cornrows can we have?
I think something that might have to do with it was the fallout between the Animal Crossing ethnic hairstyles. You know that incident.
I mean, I guess it was the game of choice used by everyone's favorite thugalicious of the industry of music, Lil Nas X, to use it as the way to talk about his Montero video.
Coming up is why I'm saying this. I want to hear no more excuses. Like, we're in 2022. Black people exist. We're gonna keep existing.
Just wear the anime hair,
I need y'all to get on y'all shit, because this, if no game coming forward has this hairstyle from 2023 going onward, at the end of 2023, if no game has stepped up to the level of having hairstyles like this, I don't care where the game come from, I'm not supporting that game, bro.
I'm not supporting games that don't cater to my niche of needing to look at myself in a game and seeing myself through the tribal hairstyles of Shaniqua behind the Dollar Tree, giving me a rap for 20 for 10. Real shit from the horse's fucking mouth. It cannot get more tribal than this. You think that's the worst of it? No, it gets worse.
Black hairstyles in the new Harry Potter game are looking crisp as fuck, I can't lie. I can say that the wizardry is one with the niggatry. And what's even cooler about this is that people who play video games who are like low-key racist try to say that you can't make black characters' hair in video games. And again, once again, this is clear proof. That being said, video games are propaganda. This game is literally about putting down a slave rebellion, and J.K. Rowling is a wild, flaming turf. I think I'll pass.
Did you hear the chat? Let's play it one more fucking time. Please, allow your anger to start building and rising. Remember what was just asked for. I made this game, Troy Leavitt, from his mouth, I made this game so that we could stop being tribal. I want you to enjoy what I make. What did Goofy Wise just say?
Black hairstyles in the new Harry Potter game are looking crisp as fuck. I can't.
Taking accountability and taking credit for a person's contributions to a game.
I can say that the wizardry is one with the niggatry.
Celebrating the fact that this person made this possible, and you claiming, ah yes, finally, I can be represented as a member of the group that I politically represent.
And what's even cooler about this is that people who play video games who are like low-key racist try to say that
accusing people of uncredited and unfounded racism because
you can't make black characters' hair in video games.
A status quo that has literally nothing to do with the superficial tactic of playing a character in a game in your own experience in what is a single-player experience.
And again, once again, this is clear proof.
Using said example to justify their very narrow worldview.
Being said, video games are propaganda.
Claiming that video games are propaganda after just saying literal propaganda.
This game is literally about putting down a slave rebellion. And
lies, horseshit, and lies.
J.K. Rowling is a wild, flaming turf.
Generally slandering the person who even made this game possible by creating the source material and the intellectual property so you can bitch about how they're a flaming wild turf.
I think I'll pass.
And then claiming you're gonna pass on the game that you should be supporting so you can get more of it, and worse, by this inference, being a part of the people who did nothing to prevent him having to leave because he was harassed. This is what they do. This is how they act. There's no understating it. That's how brain dead they are. I like this thing. You made a thing that I like, but you have really shitty politics. Therefore, I won't support it. What? The person who made the thing in this game that I like was the person who got canceled? It really doesn't matter. They probably did something to deserve it. Oh, they were lied about? It was literally just because they happened to have no ire and support or antagonism against. They were neutral on issues, and they simply went about their lives? Well, you see, that means we just need to find somebody else who can do the thing that I want. Oh, nobody else can do the thing that I want? Fuck. Well, I guess I'm gonna go back to bitching that we never get the thing that I got before, that I no longer get anymore because I was part of the problem. I was a part of the problem. It is worse than a vaudeville sketch. It is brain rot in pure concentrate. Pure concentrate. Hello, Stefan. Pure concentrate.
Then I recognize, in my view, that the smallest minority, the minority most worthy of protection, is the individual. And that's how I tend to see the world altogether. I see it like we're all notes in the grand symphony of humanity. Everybody has a part to play. It doesn't matter what your background is. You add to the richness of that symphony. And I think we can learn from one another and learn from each other's lived experiences.
Everyone is a part of a grand symphony of life. We can all learn from each other. Nigga, I don't care about none of that shit. I ain't got nothing to learn from anybody. I just want to win. I just want to win by any means necessary on my terms.
I'll still celebrating that we are all of the same species. So that's my opinion on that. Which in turn leads to the J.K. Rowling conundrum. As I think many of you know, I am a strong trans rights supporter. I am hoping to build bridges of understanding.
Did you hear that, chat? He supports trans people. He is not a hateful bigot. And yet...
But what about what J.K. Rowling has to say? Well, my thought is first, you should read her statement very carefully. I would advise that you don't let others do your thinking for you. Now, when I read it, I see that there are points where I disagree and points where I can see her reasoning. So when I read J.K. Rowling's position, I see that she's expressing herself in a calm and reasonable manner. And she even provides explanations for why she thinks the way that she does. She's worthy of conversation, not cancellation. I see a potential bridge there. And I also see, because she took the time to write this, where I would initiate that conversation. So I appreciate what she's done there as well. All right, so finally, what's next for me, for those of you who may be curious? First of all, again, I've already done the math on this back when I thought I was retiring last August, and I'm happy to say I'm ahead where I thought I would be. So I now consider myself to be comfortably retired. I don't need to work. I don't need to go back to the industry or anything else. I would really like to get into independent development, but again, family must come first. So this.
Carl, do you believe children should be beaten? Yes. With the back of the hand. With the back of the hand. And then with a switch. And then with a studded belt, military style. Because they need discipline. Some of these people didn't get their ass whipped enough. Some of these people need their ass whipped today. And don't worry, they're gonna learn real quick. They're gonna learn. They're gonna learn that there is a divide between fucking around and finding out, and it's getting thinner every second.
It may be years away before I can really dig into that. However, as I thought about things, I think that in between stuff, I should be able to work on the next book in my series. For the dozen or so of you who have read it, you already know that it's self-edited and self-published. That's, again, kind of like my YouTube videos, more like a hobby than a career. So my plan now is that I'm going to write the next in the series. Oh, but for those of you who have read the book, you've seen the second attempt at a cover. The first one that I had done, well, it was just too busy, but I still kind of like the illustration. So this is it. Here on the left, you've got Falcom, the escort of the priestess Nugini. She's singing a song of protection to keep this horde of undead at bay. Over here, this is Jatrin. She's the main protagonist of the story, who seems to have a certain knack for necromancy, which you can see might be a problem. And then here is Tygus, who is her on again, off again boyfriend. Anyway, this is a scene from chapter 5, and if you're interested as to how they got into this predicament, well, you can pick up the book and take a look. The book is an epic fantasy. It's got emphasis on music, on magic, religion, quite a lot of religion actually, and of course, necromancy.
I don't know, Troy. If this was to be shown to some of these people who are taking credit for your work, I think they'd say that you're a racist because it's looking too white.
It's too white.
It's unfortunate.
Also, Carl, I wanted to add on to like the hair, the ethnic hair choices in video games.
Yes, my child.
I find it interesting that they think this is a recent issue in games or something like that. When I started playing Final Fantasy XIV, I was surprised at the amount. I was surprised at how many like hairstyles they had. Like that could be considered, you know, for Black people in that game. That game came out in like 2010, or the Reborn version, 2013. Like they have like fades and afros and braids and dreadlocks, and like most of the characters have them. You know, anybody can wear them. And I haven't seen anybody complain about the, you know, customization in that game being racist at all.
It's because these people are fake fans. It's simple as. They're fake fans.
Yeah, and people act like you can't talk about fake fans at all. It's like no, you're not supposed to be like, you know.
Like the better way to say it, because there are clip chimps amongst my audience, is that they're glory supporters. They're glory hounds. They only support a thing when it's popular, and even when they want to try to use a thing that's popular to bolster their narrative, they only ever use it in the context of, see, the thing that I want was always possible, you just didn't want it hard enough. And it's like, no, we already did that. Those things that you wanted, they have already been supplied. Because they did the same thing with Elden Ring. In fact, I'm pretty sure if I fucking put in black hair Elden Ring, I'm gonna find videos of the exact same type. I'm gonna laugh my ass off as another one by Goofy Wise.
There's no black hairstyles in Elden Ring. I want to be an Afro bestie man running around in dirt.
Like y'all give me movement of representation.
My fucking god, it's lagging. I don't want to have to look at this fucking. I don't want to have to look at this milquetoast bastard as long as I have to fucking move. Come on, let's go.
Getting what hairstyles are in a game that takes place in the mid.
Come on. TikTok, please. Please. Please, TikTok, please.
It's like they know. They know he roasts them.
They know. But yes, this motherfucker, his literal stake is black hairstyles. And he ranted about the same thing in here. And there were people who rebutted against this.
Never existed on Earth in actual depictions of black people in the game.
Watch the full video for context, but we don't even need to talk about mythological beasts. The fact that you can make your skin color green, red, orange, purple, blue instantly destroys that argument. You can make that your skin color whatever the fuck you want, yet black hairstyles are what's unrealistic.
Retardation. These people probably didn't even fucking kill Mikla. They probably didn't learn how to kill Mikla. I know my black ass struggled, and I'm pretty sure when I did so, I did not choose to do it naked. So it didn't matter what my character's hair color was, or their fashion style. I designed my character like Morty, by the way, Chad Mort, friend of the channel. It didn't matter because my fucking character's head and their hair was covered by the armor. So why would it have fucking mattered? But, you know, besides the point. I'm doing that thing called describing the argument. A well-known alt-right tactic in argumentation. Argument add logic.
Oh, but that's song of protection. And if you're interested in as to in quite a lot of religion, actually, and of course, necromancy. As long as I'm going to be on the next book, I thought, I know when you guys are about ready to ship, so how about we race on this? I think I can have my book done, finished, and self-published at least before you guys get the game out. Oh, and lastly, I may decide to return to making some more videos, kind of based on how this one is received. All right, so just to wrap this all up, first of all, I want to say, please don't be discouraged or demoralized by my leaving in any way, or about any of these articles that are coming out about the game, or that may continue to come out about the game. I think there's a certain aspect of our press that is motivated to try and harm the game. I also want to say that I genuinely and sincerely believe that Avalanche is the right studio to be making this game. When I talk to other people about this, there's a few things that I think are worth pointing out. First of all, we're the same studio that did Infinity. Even though that was aimed at a younger demographic, that was a lot of work, and we touched a whole lot of intellectual properties. So I say that I think it's quite fair to say that Avalanche might be the best in the world at working with intellectual property and at respecting it, really understanding it. We have all these other intellectual properties that we've dealt with. I also believe in our player-centric design team that really focus on just good gameplay and what's right for the player without trying to push any other agendas into the game. I believe that we have world-class talent in the studio, and that includes art, and coding, and writers, and sound effects, and music, and animators, amazing character artists, fantastic concept art. We have a very talented team. And then in the places where we might be a bit deficient, well, we've been augmented by some partnerships, and we have great institutional knowledge that we can get and consult with. I keep saying we. I guess I'm no longer part of the project, but I would like to say it's exactly as I said in my resignation letter. I believe in the project, and I believe in the team, and I believe that you guys are making something truly magical, and I'm proud to have been a part of it. And so with that in mind, game on, my friends.
A man who had a single dream. I want to bring people together so that Wizardry can be down with the niggardry. Cut down in his prime by internet weirdos with no other reason than because you insulted our God Queen. Niggas taking credit for his work on social media platforms like TikTok, explaining that actually it was never hard for you to give us what we wanted, but we're never going to support you, and also your ideas, your very existence is hate speech, therefore you must be deplatformed. Doing everything they can to never get the thing they want, no matter how hard they bitch about it. And for those who are wondering, what was some of the things those people happened to say? Well, don't you worry. You can see one right fucking now. Girdle your loins, people. It's 32 minutes long.
Titled, A Game Developer's Open Letter to Anita Sarkeesian.
At the time, I hoped that Ms. Sarkeesian was sincere in her expressed love for video games, and that she was genuinely hoping to spark a discussion about the portrayal of women in them. As a lifelong gamer and developer with a couple decades of professional experience, I offered to engage with her in a respectful dialogue regarding any of the topics she had raised in her Tropes vs. Women series. I noted that she had since clarified her position regarding video games when she said in a published article that it's never been about video games, it's always about social justice. I could continue in this vein providing countless examples of how the social justice process of utilizing demographic outputs while ignoring the relevant inputs serves as an impetus to subvert systems away from being genuinely just or fair and towards being unjust social engineering programs. For example, you can also see evidence of this process at work as it relates to a great many social programs, be that from Title IX tribunals to affirmative action quotas. But by now, I'm sure you've already got the idea. Social justice isn't about justice at all. Rather, it's about subverting demographic statistics for the purposes of advancing programs of social engineering.
What is it about Harry Potter that attracts the worst types of people? On one hand, you have liberals in America who like to view everything that goes on in society and politics as if it were a Harry Potter novel. Then you have liberals in Britain who love J.K. Rowling and her transphobia. And now you have someone who's working on the much anticipated new Harry Potter game who is an anti-socialist, anti-feminist gamergator who was also a YouTuber who made videos on lots of this stuff. So what we're going to do in this video is take...
So already, from what we have witnessed and seen, chat, how far are we into the stream? We are an hour and 9 minutes. In an hour and 9 minutes, I have demonstrated to you the origin, the backlash, the bullshit, the lies, the statistics, lies, damn lies, and furthered cap. And in the first 2 minutes of this man's video, you have heard and seen how he did literal to no actual work and did exactly all the things that Troy Leavitt just helpfully, specifically laid out to us as the difference between good journalism, me, Carl, me, this man, right here in the fucking aftershade of the transparency, me, and this particular user, name Cavernacle. Or is that Cavernacle? Nope, Cavernacle. This video was from a year ago, and yet this person's chat room and their video has an uprate vote of, let's say this is about 85%. And people saying this is great, this is good, and all the other shit. Chocolate orange, background, anti-socialism. Leavitt says racism and sexism is overstated in gaming. Mocking minorities is fine. It's okay to be a gamer. Sexism and racism are lies, and Trump isn't a racist. And yet, in an opening like this is the majority of what we have to see and hear from. Do I dare go in and watch another 5 minutes of this? Let's find out.
Take a look at his channel, take a look at some of his views, point out where he's wrong in a lot of it, but also talk about his underlying ideology throughout a lot of this because it's problematic and, you know, I'm not going to cancel him.
He has a problematic ideology, guys. He wants you to try and be a better person and have fun playing games. He's literally fucking Hitler. Kill him.
And saying, you know, WB should fire this guy, but I think this guy being in a high position with some of his views is problematic because he's going to be directly supervising people. I assume he's many people's boss in that studio, and some of his views on things like racism and sexism and everything like that is pretty problematic for someone who has such a high position. And I know...
One more time?
This guy being in a high position with some of his views is problematic because he's going to be directly supervising people. I assume he's many people's boss in that studio, and some of his views on things like racism and sexism and everything like that is pretty problematic for someone who has such a high position. And
one more time? All the way from the top.
So what we're going to do in this video is take a look at his channel, take a look at some of his views, point out where he's wrong in a lot of it, but also talk about his underlying ideology throughout a lot of this because it's problematic. And, you know, I'm not going to cancel him and saying, you know, WB should fire this guy, but I think about a lot of this because it's problematic. And, you know, I'm not going to cancel him and saying, you know, WB should fire this guy, but I think... So what we're going to do in this video is take a look at his channel, take a look at some of his views, point out where he's wrong in a lot of it, but also talk about his underlying ideology throughout a lot of this because it's problematic. And, you know, I'm not going to cancel him and saying, you know, WB should fire this guy, but I think...
I don't think WB should fire this man, but I want them to fire this man because his optics, bro, his optics.
And they were just reading Kotaku articles and responding to the very scant information that was in the Kotaku articles, whereas I'm actually going to go into his channel because I've watched a lot of his videos. Before we go any further, edgier content on my channel is always demonetized, so if you want to support me monetarily, please check out my Patreon. Thanks so much to everyone who's already done this. At the moment, the benefits are gaining access to the private Discord server, and you obviously have your name featured at the end of every video and in the description. I'm working for some other benefits that will come in the future. If you want to join our growing community, please check out the Discord and the subreddit in the description, and if you want to follow me personally, check out @thecavernacle on Instagram and Twitter, and also use /TommyCahill1995 for my personal Reddit. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Also like this video and subscribe, and finally we did it. We got to 25,000 subscribers. I'm so grateful for all of you and the support you've shown me, particularly in 2021, but the people who've been around for the last 2 years or so, I'm really grateful to you. And I promised the new chocolate orange would come. So what I got here is a dark one. I actually haven't seen this around much.
We are 4 minutes into a 32-minute video, and they are not talking about the subject matter, but instead a chocolate fucking orange. Capitalism. It's evil, guys, right? But let's talk about this capitalism that's in my hands. I'm about to start skipping major sections.
might be the first people, however you say it. A lead designer on WB Games' forthcoming Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy game has been called out for his anti-social justice YouTube channel that attacks feminism and sympathises with the Gamergate movement. The channel has almost 26,000 followers and has had over 2 million views, quite similar in size to me. Videos are dated from 2016 to 2018, but resurfaced online as highlighted by Liam Robinson, a contributor to the Did You Know Gaming YouTube channel. Leavitt's channel is clearly linked on his Twitter account. And here's the guy, here's his LinkedIn page. So senior producer at Warner Bros. Avalanche, Salt Lake City, and then senior producer from February 2018 to present, was also a game director at Disney. And now let's have a look at the games he made. So his career started in 1994, so he worked on games like Twisted Metal 2, worked on things like Tak and the Power of Juju and its sequel, Dragon Ball Z Sagas, Tak 3, Chicken Little, Hannah Montana, Meet the Robinsons, Bolt, Toy Story 3, which was a decent game, he was only consulting on that, and he was a director on Cars 2, Infinity Lone Ranger, Disney Infinity 2.0 Avengers, Disney Infinity 3.0 Inside Out, and Disney Infinity 3.0 Finding Dory. So this is linked on his Twitter account. So his Twitter account says video game developer since 95, gamer since 1978, current development project Hogwarts Legacy. No, I won't tell you about his opinions on my own. So he's tweeted controversial stuff, I guess, about Gamergate and things like that. So he retweeted Ian Miles Chong, who said, not narratives, but actually true. Game journalists in general have no knowledge or expertise of games they cover. Games journalists talk down to audience and feed them rhetoric.
Also, I did not mention this the first time that Ian Miles Chong was mentioned. Ian Miles Chong, if none of you know, is a fucking idiot. He is a grifter. He has always been a grifter. He is the particular grifter who was fired by Jeremy of the Quartering for, if anybody knows the backstory of my channel, was employing an e-girl in his service that actively scammed not only her friends, her family, and also people on the internet, as well as her associates and people that effectively were pushed into having to defend them, but was the exact reason why Exclusively Games by Jeremy of the Quartering became what it became, because of the fact this was the fucking loser eating his money. Money that went towards Yu-Gi-Oh cards, DoorDash for an internet person, hiding behind other people on the internet, and Ian Miles Chong himself using the notoriety that he got from being given article pieces from people like that of Sargon to then spend that into his own coverage. This man is not a journalist. This man is a fucking loser pretending to be a journalist. If you want to follow an actual journalist, if you're not going to follow people like myself, you should be following and talking to people like that of Andy No. If you want a games journalist that's covering things, I would actually suggest you start following people like Var Dark of Dark Titan Principles. One of the many smaller channels that Troy actually featured in his video that actively talk about every controversy and most general news. She does not have a bias of a particular type. Well, if there is a bias, she usually speaks about it, and she covers topics similarly to the way that I do in her own style. Let's continue.
Games journalism neither pays well nor is sustainable, Troy said, from the sad but likely true category, so clearly agrees with that. Not surprising he supported things like Gamergate. Talking about his work and his YouTube together, he's like, my contract with WB has already impacted my YouTube output. Now that I'm full-time, it'll be impacted even more, but I won't totally disappear. But he has said that they've been fine with his channel. So this was a funny one. I've seen the term late-stage capitalism thrown around as an epithet lately. Is it supposedly a bad thing? But what does it mean? Someone said, as I understand it, socialists believe that capitalism is inherently...
Also, my mutuals, my baby girl, Lunar Archivist.
System whose eventual collapse is inevitable and will pave the way for them to take over. Late-stage capitalism is pushing the idea that the system is rapidly reaching this point. It's not pushing an idea, it's just a description of what is happening in the world. Troy saying thanks that helps and often fits in the context of how I'm seeing it used. Is there evidence of this impending collapse, or is it just wishful thinking that any day all Amazon delivery trucks will just spontaneously explode? I don't know. Maybe the Amazon rainforest being completely destroyed. Maybe that human-made climate change based on capitalism and having its roots back in industrialization is going to make parts of the planet so hot you can't live there anymore. Maybe that's an example. Or maybe things like Disney owning most entertainment, maybe Amazon's growing unstoppable power might be good indicators for you there. But this guy is a proper capitalist. He references Thomas Sowell so many times in his video, and he retweeted him here just recently. Politically, there are a few ideas more potent than the notion that all your problems are caused by other people and their unfairness to you. So this guy is pretty much armored skeptic, but a game developer. He rejects systemic racism.
Comparing him to a himbo whose entire claim to fame is, my girlfriend is popular, we fuck, I'm the big daddy in this little gold dynamic of ours, and I left her for a woman who I wanted to simp after who looked exactly like her. Honestly, world class topic. Intelligent. This is the best shit. The best shit. You have the best takes. The best takes. It's 2023. We're still not dead. To global warming, at least. Not to say that global warming isn't a thing. It's that it's not the specter that you all consider it to be. Yeah. None of that is an actual criticism of him. That it's not a criticism of Thomas Sowell. It's not a criticism of the opinion that is being stated here. In fact, the thing that you're doing, literally, is exactly what was described here. When you say his opinions and views as being a person in a large position in a company is going to have detrimental qualities to the people on his staff. Politically, few ideas more potent than the notion that all of your problems are caused by people and their unfairness to you. If he's treating his team well, if he's doing his job, if his views are not affecting his ability to make a game that is down with the niggardry, you are this quote, nigga. You are this quote, nigga.
And he rejects systemic sexism in the US and the West in general, and you can see that apparent in his videos, so I'm going to go into them now. Now, he made a video on Venezuela and video games, and basically said that social justice basically leads to authoritarian communism. Now,
because it does. Because it does. It's the exact same worldview every single time. You use the Venezuelan model to try and justify how actually, if you guys just do these things, if we try this idea for the 27th time, I promise it'll work in Utopia this time. I promise. People won't go hungry, people won't be greedy, people won't be self-serving, and they won't be selfish. Retarded. Retarded.
He didn't actually write this video himself, he just read an email apparently from a Venezuelan gamer. I wonder how true that is. But basically he also shows someone else showing about why Venezuela is poor at the moment. And what his description basically doesn't acknowledge is that Venezuela has had sanctions on it for years. So take a look at this clip.
Now, before I dive
Sanctions had nothing to do with Venezuela. Sanctions did not come into effect with the problem. There have been multiple videos that have pointed this out. There have been multiple people who have pushed back against this take. It happened because they have a national fucking industry on oil, and that industry being highly regulated by the state led to the banana republic and then the despotism that Venezuela runs under. If you all follow me on Twitter, you know of a user by the name of Caleb Prime. Caleb Prime is a Venezuelan native who has been trying to escape the country with his brother for literally 3 years as the shit has hit the fan. Constantly giving us updates when he's able to get water, giving us updates when he's able to go shopping for food, giving us updates about him getting his passport, which he finally was able to get within the last month, clap and a half. All of these things, if the place is so great with the socialism, why does he want to leave? But no, listen to this guy with his tweed jacket and these glasses, black rimmed, and he's going to tell you how this is actually true.
in, here's just a bit of John Stossel describing just how bad it has gotten in Venezuela to set things up.
Venezuela should be rich. Not long ago, Venezuela was the richest country in Latin America. It still has greater oil reserves than Saudi Arabia. But today, Venezuelans starve. These people are fighting over bags of flour.
No hay alimento, no hay nada.
And then there's the violence. One Venezuelan is murdered every 20 minutes. Socialism failed in all these places. We are yet to see one socialist country succeed. And yet, sadly, they and other countries refuse to learn the lessons of history. Other countries will give socialism a go. Useful idiots will sing socialism's praises until the last light goes out.
So pretty clearly anti-socialist, but talking about the Gamergate stuff from earlier, pretty obsessed with Anita Sarkeesian, made multiple videos on it.
Making videos refuting a person's opinion is obsession. Therefore, you making a video about him and about the politics that he has is obsession. But he made videos. I only made one. No. If criticizing a person makes them obsessed by me describing and even featuring your content, I am somehow obsessed. But I am not. It is instead important for people to know your background. He explains his opinions in full, with numbers, details, and example, not just from experience, but from investigation of her claims and falsification, not falsifying them to say that she is fake, but assessing the truth and being able to show what is true and what is false, that this is shit. You're talking horse shit.
Yeah, but I want to talk about the Anita's appropriation one, because I find it pretty funny. This guy isn't that bright when it comes to criticizing systems and stuff. So
He's not very bright when he comes to criticizing systems and stuff. No, I would put the video on screen, but in the sake of time, I will not. I will simply link it to you, and you can watch it on your own time. One moment. Ah, hold on. It appears that my app has been disconnected from Discord. Hold on. Either my Discord bugged or something happened. Let me reset Discord. Meanwhile, while I'm working on that, the link is in the chat. For some reason, I'm constantly getting disconnected from Discord. Interesting. Let me see if I can do it by doing this. That's not working. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try something. This one has push to talk, but can you hear me? Saffronet? Let's see, do permissions, all, and voice activity. Alright, can you two hear me in here?
Yes.
Yes, there's something wrong with the green room. Let me see if it's fixed. And can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck that was. What were you trying to say?
We were trying to, like, you know, get your attention because it kept disconnecting for some reason.
I don't know.
And
I have no idea what was happening. But what were you trying to say before the disconnections happened?
we were trying to, like, you know, talk about, you know, this guy, how fucking, you know, batshit insane he is. Because he's like, you talk about this and he also kids you. He's such an evil little man.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. The need to try and slander a person that people are not going to do enough research to learn about, and hoping that because nobody does the actual legwork to demonstrate a person's character or the depth of said character, is egregious and is deserving of mockery for me. It's egregious not just because you're lying to people and hoping that they'll just listen and believe the lie because you made a video essay. You must be right. But it's worse in that you're stating things that, as I pause, because I haven't seen this video before, I pause, I explain the exact rebuttal against what you say, and then the person you're trying to criticize agrees with me and cites the exact same shit. And then you say, no, he's wrong about that. When we just stated the same thing, it's not just brain dead, it's actual brain let. It's giving the serfs, it's giving Hassan, it's giving the stupidity of the Young Turks when they're not forced to go against the left and tell them, listen, you're brain dead and you don't know what you're talking about, like they recently had to concerning Mr. Beast. It's brain dead. And the idea to say that he's obsessed with somebody because somebody who was actively used as a figurehead and a sacred cow scapegoat that everybody hid behind, that anytime you ever criticized anything about her, it was, you hate her, you hate women in gaming. And along comes somebody like Troy Leavitt that says, no, I don't hate you, you're just wrong. And I'm going to prove how you are, not just mathematically, but literally by example. And this fucking knockoff of goddamn Post Malone comes up and says, no, you're obsessed, bro, you're obsessed, bro, you're walking out the pub, upset because she's out here on the streets, living, laughing, loving the way she wants. What's your problem, bro? What's the problem, mate? What's it up? You want to tussle? I can't handle it. You're fucking dumb.
Also, when he says, like, oh, well, I'm not trying to cancel him, I'm not trying to cancel guys, I'm not trying to cancel him. It's like, you know what your intent is.
See, this is the type of English accent which really does. This is the type of accent from him, especially when he's talking about dumb shit like this, where I feel no problem with Americans just calling him British derisively, because it really is that kind of like British accent where it really does, like just listening to him gets on my nerves. It's like listening to a Californian.
This is your Californian. This is your version of Californians.
Your version of California.
See, I listen to these dumbasses so fucking much that you can hear my fucking dialect using this tone is getting better. Not quite there yet, but it's getting there. It's getting there.
Basically, Anita made a video criticising Far Cry 3, basically saying the depiction of Citra in the game plays into a pretty common trope about the exotic savage. And it's not just for native people, it's also for Japanese women as well. I've recently made...
It's a video game, my nigga. It's a video game.
It's a video game.
The canon ending is literally she rapes the fucking protagonist and gets impregnated by him, then kills him. What do you want?
A video about this, about how cyberpunk, the genre,
maybe he's into that.
Sort of stereotypes a lot. And I made
There are many men who are into hot exotic women with insane societal decisions trying to kill them like a Black Widow.
Video about anime perpetuating these stereotypes a lot, and this view...
Anime is a industry that is full of self-referential tropes, including the idea of being in on the joke. It's literally created by people who are fans of the medium, most of which are usually women!
Of women in particular. So I agree in essence with what Anita is saying. I don't agree with everything she says, but in this context I do agree with her. So let's take a look at him responding to her criticism.
I don't agree with her, but in this context I do agree with her. I don't agree with all of her shit, but I agree with everything she's saying. But I don't agree with everything she's saying. I'm just agreeing with it in this context. Except that I don't agree with anything that she's saying. I can't even explain a single thing that she's talking about. I can't go against the church. We saw what happens.
Ubisoft's 2012 game Far Cry 3 has players as Jason Brody, a young white American man vacationing in Bangkok with his brother and their white friends. But their carefree fun comes to an end when a skydiving trip goes wrong, and they all end up being kidnapped by evil pirates, who, you guessed it, are not white.
All right, so we're only 15 seconds in, and already you've probably picked up on Anita's new twist. She's mentioned being white 3 times, and is strongly insinuating that she's calling out specifically white racism in video games.
Jason escapes and encounters a group of island natives called the Rakyat, who enlist his help to rid their island of the pirates, ushering Jason into his exotic and exciting new role as a tribal warrior, and white savior is Citra, a young woman who's viewed among her people as a warrior goddess. Under her guidance, Jason's adventure rapidly becomes an absurd hodgepodge of racist stereotypes about tribal cultures and brown women.
Okay, 30 seconds in, and the ideology that carries through the rest of the video has become pretty clear, hasn't it? Anita is a disciple of the religion of identity politics. Each of us are born under a form of original sin based primarily on our skin color and sex, and hence, she sees people as existing in a hierarchy that is stratified by race and gender. As I said in my video on Gamergate, I am opposed to this worldview.
Citra's strange mystical powers return later in the game when she blows a glowing dust into Jason's face, triggering another hallucinatory sequence that culminates in the game-ending choice, to save Jason's friends and leave the island, or to do Citra's bidding, to savagely kill his friends and stay on the island with her. If players choose to murder Jason's friends and stay with Citra, a scene plays in which the two of them have sex. Then she stabs him while stating that their child will become the new leader of the tribe. Citra is yet another example of a female character whose sexuality is presented as a motivator and reward for the presumed straight male player.
It's a reward, guys. If you kill your friends, you get to impregnate the hot woman, then get stabbed in the chest. For some men, that is an actual reward. Bro, it's a reward.
I know guys who would post a wood reaction image to that. I'm just saying, this day and age, some people are down horrendous.
Some niggas are down horrendous. I was trying to resist the urge to jokingly say me.
Certain white men falsely view Asian women as inherently more obedient or submissive than women from other cultures and sexually fetishize them as a result of these false notions. Those women are being exotified, and their race is falsely depicted as a defining aspect of their character.
It's not their race that's being commodified, although you're playing the Bulgarian and the geisha of the 1950s. Let's not talk about what people did in the 1950s. Let's not talk about that one time where John Wayne was Genghis Khan. But no, what's being commodified isn't their race or their gender, it's their culture. The Japanese people have a culture of being soft-spoken, but when they speak, these niggas do not pull fucking punches. They like being cordial, but when they think you don't understand them, or when they are speaking honestly, these niggas unload. If they could say nigga with explicit American accuracy, not just, oh, those niggas are just so unappreciative of their culture. No, like, nigga, goddamn, shut the fuck up. Why you over here all the goddamn time? Like, let me watch my fucking lolicon, bro. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm over here not fucking touching anything. We literally threw that nigga in jail, and yet you won't shut the fuck up around attention. Shut the fuck up, nigga. We don't care, nigga. I don't care, nigga. If they did that, it'd be clear that it's not about them being commodified for their race. It'd be, nigga, respect my shit and I'll respect yours. But if you're gonna disrespect me, we're gonna do what you did to us at Hiroshima and Nagasaki and bomb everything. You bombed us, and we made anime. So then, we gave you cringe, like Nekopara and Boku no Pico. Don't do it again, nigga. You'll never know what we'll do next.
Anita goes on to make the same mistake again when she calls out Resident Evil 5, another game that was made by exclusively Japanese developers. And then she does it a third time when she goes after Street Fighter 4. Again, yet another game built and designed entirely in Japan, and then only afterwards localized to Western markets. From the transcript of her video.
And also, a game that specifically has a multitude of diverse characters from multiple backgrounds, who do not always demonstrate these tropes that you're claiming. And this is even more true in Street Fighter 6, when a hulking man-woman that beats the shit out of you, like Seth would appreciate and do.
You can see that Anita makes mention of whiteness 11 times, and always in a negative context as illustrating some form of alleged racism. But she doesn't mention Japan or the Japanese even once. I would be interested, however. How well are you go over with her devoted followers if they knew that she's essentially calling out not white people, but rather the Japanese as being racist when she does this?
So this guy's obviously a very fresh old white Redditor or something. I don't know why I get so butthurt.
He's a Redditor, guys. He's not talking from experience and citing examples in the game industry. He's just a fucking Redditor. Game designer at WB.
But Anita talking about white people so much, but basically he doesn't even really address the point she's making about Japanese people and Japanese.
But he did. He literally did. He defined it. He described it. He labeled it out. He gave examples. He gave counterexamples. He falsified the claims, and then he dismissed them by showing how she's bullshitting.
In particular, something I addressed, like I said, in my anime video, and it is a true thing, of the Western mindset towards Asian women and the sexualized stereotypes, those things. But he also goes on to say...
The people fetishizing the idea of wanting to get crushed by a thick Asian Dami-Mami is not the same thing as you using those people's fetishization of a specific niche and claiming it applies to an entire worldview of, what was that? The Western perspective?
It's so butthurt about Anita talking about white people so much, but basically he doesn't even really address the point she's making about Japanese people and Japanese women in particular, something I addressed, like I said, in my anime video, and it is a true thing, of the Western mindset towards Asian women and the sexualized...
Wild. Listen, guys, if you have an appreciation of Western culture, and you're from any of the Eurasian continents, and you're a part of the Southeastern Asian continent, the SEA, you just have a westernization fetish, guys. You don't actually like our culture. You like the things our cultures can supply you. The same way that anime nerds sitting in their bedroom with all of their weeb figures have cum jars in destitution to the fertility goddess of choice. You don't actually like the things. You don't live in the place because you simply appreciate the culture to the point that you could be somebody like Paida, an idol star who grew up in Japan doing the business and the work. It doesn't matter if you're like Pewds and Marzia about to celebrate bringing in a child to their world as they discover that she is pregnant and she's like, what, in her first month living in Japan because you like the culture and like living there. You couldn't be like Gaijin Guma and his wife Aki, actively working and serving in Japan as English teachers or just general appreciative people of the culture, actively living and even getting married in the traditional Shinto style. No. You fetishize the culture. You don't actually appreciate them. You just use them. Like a cudgel! I said the bonus word.
Stereotypes.
Like a
cudgel. Say that because Japan have made a lot of these games, it can't be racist, essentially. So Anita points to characters like Sheva in Resident Evil 5. I don't know if I necessarily say that's racist. Maybe you could argue it's sexist because of maybe the art style and the sexualized nature of things she's wearing. I don't think it's the best example, but I don't really care about that side. I care about the fact that this guy seemingly thinks Japanese people can't be racist because they're non-white or something. So this is something else.
You never said that!
Continually talks about. Basically, any criticism of the video game industry of being racist is undermined by the amount of Asians that work in it. Because as we all know, you can't be Asian and racist. Of course you can. And
that's not what he said!
Countries like Japan are xenophobic. Countries like China are very racist to black people. It might not come from the same history.
They're not racist to black
people. I don't understand this. I never understood this.
This is not just a cap. This is a full fucking top hat. Fuck you.
Full top hat. It doesn't
Where's
even
my hat?
fit on his
Where's
head.
my hat? I need to get my hat. I have to...
Well, I mean to say, I've watched and talked to people from Japan that actually appreciate a lot of black culture. They especially I want to say people who were born around the 60s or 70s. They talk about how much they love Prince and Michael Jackson and all that. And I'm just sitting here oh yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's because they reached adulthood in the 80s where Japan was through a economic boom, and that led to them getting a lot of cross-cultural, like getting access to a lot of cross-cultural stuff from the West. Like this is why like the what is it called, Garyu, or like a glamour girl trend in Japan came from. It was during that time.
Gal? Oh yeah, like
Gairers.
girls and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gals and Gairers. Which is responsible for one of my favorite fucking models, Non-Summerjack. Niggas should know that I have entire folders full of Non's fucking photos for a reason. But
she's a very nice looking woman.
When women want to dress up like these characters, they are just living pornography. And when they want to be characters in these franchises, especially ones made by both Eastern and Western cultures, they're just simply fetishizing them. Their bodies, their constructs to the lewd concept is an affront to God, but a blessing and prayer to Slanesh. Nigga, this is not just Cap. This is not just a helmet. This is a cat in the hat, top hat, nigga. I had to go grab my red and white one. I got a green and yellow one in the closet over there. Nigga, what the fuck are you talking about? This is past retardation. You've gone directly into stupidity.
Also, he's implicitly saying, he's not outright saying it, but he's saying implicitly that if a woman is like made conventionally attractive or wears like modest clothes in a video game, that's somehow automatically sexist, because he's agreeing with the sort of he's agreeing with the sex negative position that Anita Sarkeesian is kind of famous for. So no.
See, the worst part about it is that it's gone from Anita to Grossman, the designer behind The Last of Us Part 2, because he had a keynote speech, Neil Druckmann, about this very thing, and he used the exact same talking points. I don't think he used her videos exactly, but Druckmann used the exact same sex-negative talking points to justify how actually we need to desexualize female women because it's a problem. And yet, what did you do in your game, Druckmann? What did you do in Part 2? You had a character get butt-fucked, effectively.
And he was the one fucking her. It was him! It was him!
Oh yeah, sex-negative male feminist turns out to be a bit of a perverted sex pest. Who would have known?
Count the numbers on your fingers. How many times has it happened, guys?
It's happened enough that you could be able to masturbate with both hands.
Slavery and stuff that the West have. But I've made videos that a lot of these views of black people in ex-colonial countries is influenced by the Western view of black people. Now in the same video, he goes on to talk about cultural appropriation and how it's actually...
Well, my nigga, let's repeat that one more time, make sure we heard that correctly.
Black people in ex-colonial countries is influenced by the Western view of black people. Same history of slavery and stuff that the West have. But I've made videos that a lot of these views of black people in ex-colonial countries is influenced by the Western view of black people.
The views of people in these countries are influenced by the views of the West of people from those ex-colonial countries. The views of... I'm trying to dumb this down so that the audience can understand. And by dumb down, I mean smarten up. The views that the Japanese market and the East has towards West is influenced by Western ex-colonial countries, people who used to or might have conquered at one point in time other people's countries and how they view black people. The reason why they don't like black people in Japan is because of colonialist countries and ex-colonialist countries like Spain and how they treat African Americans. What kind of retardation is that?
He's literally saying that the Meiji Rebellion and Hiroshima and Nagasaki made Japanese people racist.
They're more xenophobic, if you ask me. But you know, there's a historical reason why they act like that.
That is like saying that every single Indian man and every single Indian woman who comes from Delhi and Bangladesh is treated as racist and insulted as a stereotype like Apu from The Simpsons because they happen to make high fantastical forms of theatrical Bollywood films like Triple R because you do not like white people. Even though the white man in that film was specifically a indentured man who was trying to colonize the people, as it was basically a dramatized story of why they wear the red Sikh turban of rebellion. You, sir, are fucking retarded because you do not respect the culture of these people and the history from which they come from. You got an F in world history before 18 and after 1840.
Now, in the same video, he goes on to talk about cultural appropriation and how it's actually pretty funny and pretty fun, and you should never be offended about it, even if you wear a silly costume. Say, I wear a silly costume mocking Native Americans, or mocking some other minority. The joke's on me because I look silly.
I think the idea of culture...
Nigga, what? I didn't hear that correctly. Play that shit back!
Now, in the same video, he goes on to talk about cultural appropriation and how it's actually pretty funny and pretty fun, and you should never be offended about it, even if you wear a silly costume. Say, I wear a silly costume mocking Native Americans, or mocking some other minority. The joke's on me because I look silly.
Are you talking about his opinion, or are you claiming that's what you do when you wear a costume? Let's let
No, it's freaking. When you wear a like dumbed down like Halloween costume of a Native American, it's not to insult Native Americans. It's to indulge in a stereotype for the sake of fun. It's not there to offend anyone.
I'm trying to imagine in my mind an argument where this works in the context of a Halloween party, and then Justin Trudeau in his constant blackface.
Yeah, he did it a lot. Very interesting how he did that. I think I don't know if I brought this up with you, Carl, but when I was like about 6 years old, I was like a big fan of Disney's Pocahontas. Now I know the Pocahontas story is very historically inaccurate, but you know, when you're like a young child, you're like, oh my god, this beautiful Native American princess is like jumping off of cliffs, chocolate animals, and trees. She's so amazing. So I had the bright idea to ask my parents for a Pocahontas costume because I loved her so much as a child.
Also,
Now,
the story of the actual... finishing.
You go ahead.
I was just going to say, the story of the actual Pocahontas is actually very wholesome and quite, like, sad at the same time. It's literally, she didn't marry John Smith, like she did in the movie. She married
People
another
said I was seeing reports saying she got raped or something, or abused.
No, that's not true at all. What happened was that she inducted a local guy into the tribe. John Smith got inducted into the tribe. He was afraid. He actually thought he was going to be executed because of the way that it was done, but because of the way it was done, he couldn't understand the language. But it was actually more likely to be a tribal induction, a friendly thing. And then she ended up marrying a white man, converting to Christianity, moving to England, where she became a local celebrity. She had her husband's son. They had a single child together, and when they were about to move back to the United States, she died early into the trip of illness. She wasn't she wasn't raped. She wasn't treated like shit. She fell in love with a white man, had his child, converted to his faith, and lived a fairly normal life.
Is it not possible that she just had a white man fetishization, that as a Native American, she was looking to get colonized and have her womb inbred into the great motherhood land of England itself, so that she should be a British woman?
Look, I'm not going to claim to know the sexual fetishes of Pocahontas. She could have a bleached fetish for all I know, but I'm going to attribute the best possible motives. I just think she liked the guy.
Unfortunately, I've heard from this YouTuber called Cabnacle that apparently, if you ever do anything at all involving another person's country and or their ethnicity, that it means that you have an obsession with them. So clearly she needed that white cum, just like she needed that white gold. Like the river gravy rolling over Cheddar Bay biscuits. Not applicable for $2. Get these green eggs and ham thing 1 2 looking deliciously attractive money bags. And I can fight for $5. There's also the hookup scene at the beginning of part 2 between Ellie and her girlfriend. Here's $5 for the aspirin for dealing with this crap. I'm gonna need a lot more than just aspirin. But unfortunately, I've told myself that I'm going to swear off alcohol for as long as I can when I don't have money to afford it. And then another $2 from applicable. Don't make me get on your who, here, and ass all the time. Don't worry, I'll get on it myself. I'll get on it myself. Mohan is getting bleached before the internet. No, and Ed Norton is relating to her. Wild. However, ladies and gentlemen, do not look up Pocahontas bleached. I'm begging you, do not look up anything bleached. Unless you are looking up brands of bleached, don't look up any woman followed by the word bleached. For example, don't look up Elsa Jean bleached. Don't look up Kimmy Granger bleached. Certainly do not look up Mia Khalifa bleached. And definitely do not look up Mia Khalifa rides Indian.
I think the idea of cultural appropriation is rather ridiculous. I mean, who is to say when someone is wrongfully appropriating someone else's culture? And even if you're making a joke based upon dressing up in the traditional clothing of another culture, isn't the joke mostly upon you because it is clear that you personally look ridiculous in that getup?
But wait a second. If I'm purposely making their culture look silly, isn't that quite offensive to the people making fun of? Especially if they're a minority who've been treated awfully in American history, and especially since there is a legacy of making fun of these people, painting faces red or painting faces black, doing a minstrel routine. That isn't funny. The joke isn't on you. I'm thinking about the Roger scene in Mad Men.
Pause. Boop, 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 boop. One more time?
The joke's on me because I look silly.
I think the idea of cultural appropriation is rather ridiculous. I mean, who is to say when someone is wrongfully appropriating someone else's culture? And even if you're making a joke based upon dressing up in the traditional clothing of another culture, isn't the joke mostly upon you?
So, we went from, well, you see, when I dress up in this cultural piece of outfit, like a girl who wears a kipao, a Chinese dress, you know, the traditional look at my leg skirt dress of Chinese culture, and she uses that as a way to, one, look fashionable at prom, and two, do something unique that nobody else is doing, or nobody else thought to do. That is you saying, you know, they have an obsession, and also this person is insulting this person's culture. But then, when he says, but when I choose to lampoon and go to the point of satirizing my clothing, instead of just being a sexy cowboy, I decide to be an Asian cowboy with a leather jacket and fingerless front knuckle gloves with a cowboy hat. I'm simply being silly. And this isn't supposed to be me being a hard-up cowboy that's going rednecking and catching cattle out on the Alamo. It is me going to a Halloween party because all of my friends just want to have some dumb fun and have an excuse to put on costumes to fuck each other while possibly blackout drunk. We went from, bro, it's not that deep, to, what was that, blackface?
Fun of, especially if they're a minority who've been treated awfully in American history, and especially since there is a legacy of making fun of these people, painting faces red or painting faces black, doing a minstrel routine. That isn't funny. The joke isn't on you. I'm thinking about the Roger scene in Mad Men. Do you not...
You're the joke, man. You're the joke if you do that.
I'm getting the other hat. I have enough space to make both of them fit in my head. I'm getting the other hat. I need a step stool. Just put on the green one because the green one hasn't been stretched to shit. Then put the green one's hat down on the tail and fit the red hat over on top of it. Double cap, nigga. Double cap. Double fucking cap. Not real. You did not just say... I forgot to put the headset on first. Fuck. Like a clown. You did not just say blackface is when I wear a costume on Halloween to get drunk, and I instead say, listen, bro, when you wear that, you're performing minstrelsy. There is no way you're not brain dead.
I don't think he has any kind of brain.
Let's continue.
think that's problematic. But anyway, it's not surprising this guy doesn't believe systemic racism exists. And going back to the point.
He didn't say he didn't believe in systemic racism, although I don't believe he does. He would probably say, no, the problem isn't systemic racism. The problem is bias of racism of those in power, otherwise known as persecution. Remember when you said that him being in a position of power over people would cause problems and is problematic? You know what's problematic about people who think the way that Joe Biden does? When he believes that a kind of man of a particular culture, black males, are super predators that need to have a 90s bill written about them. The same way that he believes women are weak and inferior and need to be protected, not because they need to be protected because they're actually being persecuted, but because they need to be given more rights than men, to the point that they can do things like violate them at will. But anytime you ever act against a woman outside the context of catching her on videotape doing a crime is execution of you to then be either put to death or to be given an extreme sentencing because of the Violence Against Women Act. You know, that thing where you give more rights to women than you would to children or men as a whole. That, my friend, is the actual problem, what we would call systemic. Because it's not that the system itself can be corrupt, but it can be. It is that the people who abuse the rules are doing so extrajudiciously to destroy any semblance of normalcy, although it's supposed to be normality. I don't know why the fuck we allowed normalcy to become a part of our normal day lexicon, other than because Biden said it in the first place. But it's because it has been normalized and standardized to be how we do things. Punish that man because he had the crime to say no. Punish that man and punish that woman and their kid too for the crime of being on the wrong side. The point where you're allowing yourself to think like this is the point at which you have become a part of the system. For example, the following sentence is true. It is a systemic issue that YouTube punishes people like SinglePlayerCarl and those in his audience for disagreeing with the narrative of the ruling party. Period. That is a true statement. Why is it true? Because it is a systemic issue if people at a company allow bots to rule the jurisdiction and the result of reviews. And then for the company to back it up until it's forced under a human review if all they did was glance at something and decide, well, we have been told, it has been decided, it was declared, and it has been announced because of the FBI Bureau of Investigations, which has been a honeypot for Twitter for literally years, has decided that this narrative about this thing that we said was true is now false. And now you may criticize the thing that you may not be able to speak about, like the virus of the unknown origin and the possible connections it's had to destroying the website and its cohesion. That's what systemic looks like. Systemic racism looks like white people being fucked out of a job and being denied a position because they're only looking for people of color and list the job as such, and then when you call them on this and you take them to court, they lose the case because it was clear bullshit. This is not something that is capped. This is not a wild example. This happens right fucking now. It has been happening in the UK for literally 5 years. BBC, Channel 4, even the goddamn fucking police chiefs. Especially the ones specifically about the officers looking for diversity and inclusion brigades. It is wild that you would say something so blatantly, obviously, and provenly false dumb. But you're a leftist. You have your biases. Am I wrong, by the way, Callum?
No, I wouldn't say you're wrong. I don't think so. It genuinely, it's just, this just smack, like this entire video just smacks of him deliberately misrepresenting the point because he doesn't have a point to make. Like there's nothing wrong with any of the videos that he's citing in his video, but he wants to make basically, he's using the whole Harry Potter game thing as a bouncing board to try and destroy this man because he doesn't fall in line. Like, I'm sorry, but that is the long and short of this entire video. It's like he doesn't even really care about the Harry Potter game. I don't really care about the Harry Potter game. I'm only going to play it because I'm nostalgic for Harry Potter movie tie-in games, which I played during a hard point in my life when I was a kid. Like, I don't like. I'm not expecting the game to be a masterpiece, but at the same time, I don't give a shit about the politics behind it, or the politics surrounding it. And clearly, the people who are complaining about it don't care either. I'm going to make a video on it this week. Back to making videos, by the way, guys. It's this it's just this huge thing. It's a nothing burger, but they're trying to make something out of it because it's the hot. Well, it was the hot topic at the time because of the whole Troy Levitts thing, and it's a hot topic now because people are making something out of nothing. So, and it was something out of nothing both times. And this whole video is just a key example of that.
I can feel in your own side just the, yeah, that is true, isn't it?
I just want to play a Harry Potter game so I can feel so I can get that comfort of being 11 and enjoying Harry Potter so I don't have to think about difficult things again. Sorry, that's the long and short of my enjoyment of this game. I don't care about I don't care about the politics. Leave me alone.
And you think it's pretty problematic, this guy's a director. Imagine if this guy was your boss, and you go on YouTube and watch this stuff. How he generally doesn't believe in a lot of racism, or sexism, or anything like that. And he's actively, an anti-feminist. And he's propping up the status quo. Again, I don't think he should be cancelled, or he can't make video games. I'm just thinking of it as an employee standpoint, that I would hate this guy to be my boss. Because I feel like he wouldn't understand any of my problems. He's also extremely pro-capitalist. Anti-feminism, and pro-capitalism, and minimizing racism, I don't think is a good combination for a guy overseeing.
I am also very anti-feminist because I think they're a little, bullshit. They're very negative about sex, and, it ends up causing more problems than it's worth.
If I didn't have to give an opinion about it from the journalist position, I would say I dislike them because they give bad head. You can't talk. I'm sorry. You can't talk shit about my gender and not know how to please my gender. We like skill out here, sir. You need to be challenger and dick sucking before you're allowed to criticize anything. Otherwise, get the fuck out of here and go back to Gok school.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like the women who I genuinely trust to have insight into the male psyche are women who genuinely have intimate interactions with men, both in a sexual and non-sexual context, because they actually speak to men and talk to men and have an understanding of what men are like and what men want.
Yeah, the thing that bothered me constantly, kind of around the time of Gamergate, is that all men are they fetishize rape. They fetishize rape. They want to rape women all the time, and it's you dumb fucking bitches. I know what you fucking read. I know what fan fictions you put out. I know. Don't come to me telling me every guy is a rapist. And that they fetishize rape. Most guys don't even like that. They don't even like the idea.
Most of us are terrified by the fact you'd even fucking ask us, and then when you have to actually psych us ourselves into this fucking moment, and then you get angry because it's I didn't believe you last time. You need to smack me like you fucking hate me. Then you need to choke me like you want me to fucking not ever see the light of day again. And we're bitch, Jesus Christ! Can we just cuddle? And then what's worse is that if we do it, then you get angry. It's how could you? Bitch, you asked for it.
You consented. You asked us to do it.
It just genuinely Here's the thing. 10 years ago, I would have said what goes on in your bedroom is your business. But now I'm at the point where I'm just I can only really recommend to a guy. If a woman asks you to do that, just say no. Because it's not worth the risk. It just isn't. It's not worth because we're at a point now where you cannot trust for that to not be used against you at a later date.
You're gonna you'd have to pull some high-tech shenanigan shit. Have them sign a document that is written ahead of time that says Party A consents to the debaucherous actions that are about to be committed to memory. Then you have to make a sex tape. And then if they ever go forward and say, this man abused and assaulted me, it's no, here's the document, here's the tape. You can enter this into evidence. Nobody's ever seen this except her and myself. I'm fucking out of here. And that be the way that you just deal with that.
And I feel bad because, I'm the kind of person that likes, kind of, BDSM kind of stuff. And I had to hear, women, usually on Tumblr saying like, oh, if you like BDSM, you're in rape. You support rape culture. It's like, no, it's not. It's not even remotely close to that. What are you talking about?
And then the majority of them that happen to be in said relationships on the down low.
Well, yeah, the daddy dom thing. They say that that's bad, but they like that shit.
Oh, it gets worse than just DDLG. It gets a lot worse than DDLG. I'm talking about the kind of women who, in their personal time, like to talk about themselves as being dominatrices. But if you actually were to call their bluff, it realizes that they're just a fucking switch that's trying to be a top, but there always has been a bottom.
Oh no!
I'm sure they're out there, but I have yet to this day to meet a woman who is a 100% top. To this day, I have yet to meet a woman who is 100% the top, 100%.
I was like, I can freely admit that I'm a switch anyway. I'd rather be honest about that rather than just like put on like some weird front.
The weird part about it is you don't even need to be a top or a bottom. The problem, and it's obvious because it happens more enough with feminist and political pundits, that it's almost always become a piece of media as famous as them. June, as an example. Somehow, they find themselves talking about subject matter, but then when you actually press them on the topic, they don't know anything, they just know what they like sexually. So a lot of them are more in the limitations of being like Merrick, the punished Eldritch Mother person who's amongst BreadTube, who was kind of extricated from BreadTube technically. So one of the fucking orbiters that rove around people like, I think in her case, she's orbiting around people like Lavlun and the Ethoughts of Twitch, because she is one herself. Orbiting around people like that, saying that they're all this and all this, when actually she's the kind of woman who will take naughty pictures of herself at a protest while people are looking for her, being like, bro, we were supposed to be doing activist action. Why are you in the bathroom being a whore? Things like that. It's people like Big Red and well-known feminists, or just feminists that you end up seeing on site at places like Tricklypuff at the speeches that Steven Crowder was at with Christina Hoff Sommers, with Milo when he was still on his gay, dangerous, queer arc. People like that saying that you can't have men do this and men do that, but they either have a man do that or they actively do that to their men. Like, on one side, they're saying men do nothing but want to control us, but on the other ones, you're getting bent over the sofa. Like, make it make sense. Or at least say, no, I say one thing and I do another. Then it would be consistent. Because the only thing consistent about them is the inconsistency. But let's continue. I want to be done with this.
What's this brand that promotes itself as being very inclusive, and this guy's, one of the lead producers on their new game. So here's another funny video. I actually laughed at this. This guy sometimes is so on the nose with the stuff we meme about in terms of how fragile white gamers are. He made a video talking about how it's okay to be a gamer. And again, I was laughing the whole way through this because basically, it's like he was framing it like gamers are oppressed. He's basically saying that the media have made...
Well, gamers are oppressed because you actively made them into a secondary class citizen in a caste system. There is the journalist that tells you that you are a horrible person and you deserve nothing other than what they decide that you are allowed, and what you're only allowed is videos that subvert, control, meme on, joke about, and insult your ideology, your worldview, or your personal beliefs because they think your beliefs are stupid. And you're supposed to say, thank you, sir. May I please have another? I am still hungry. I need more of the cringe porridge. Meanwhile, in reality, what actually happens is that your opinions are niche, but you need to use social media to gaslight them to seem bigger than they are, and then when people have shouted you down both at the bigger level and the upper level, you say, well, your opinion doesn't matter, people agree with me, when really, people don't agree with you. They saw your post, and out of the context of a gotcha, they don't actually agree, because then when they hear what you have to say, on a non-recorded video essay post, if you have to defend your opinions live, you start getting angry because then niggas start pulling shit out as facts. And when they start assaulting you with facts and detail, you say they're hate speech, hate facts, and misinformed logic that can lead to someone being hurt. But you'll call gamers fragile. And people have to tell people, listen, bro, it's okay to play games. You don't have to care about their ideology. But if they say, bro, I don't have to care about what you think, you then say, haha, see, this is proof that you're fucking weak, bro. This is proof that you're fucking weak. It's wild.
Gamers as a title negative thing associated with white racist men who just play video games. Have a look at the video.
So here are 3 examples of the common anti-gamer media narratives that I am looking to counteract. Narrative number 1. Gamers are misogynists or racist. In their zeal for promoting identity politics, some poorly informed media pundits have tried to recast the label of gamer into being a sort of umbrella term exclusively targeting white males. From the inception of Gamergate in August of 2014, right up until the present day in November of 2017, the common media narrative is that Gamergate was a loosely organized mob of angry white male gamers bent upon harassing women with the intent of chasing them out of the gaming sphere. The modern narrative has retroactively added a new spin that Gamergate was also about promoting white supremacy, even though no such accusations existed 3 years ago. But again, the facts are antithetical to this oft-promoted narrative.
So he's basically denying there's any subculture of racism in video games. I love how these guys get so offended. It's like, because I'm not on the alt-right.
A subculture of racism. Is there possibly a misogyny subculture of racism as well? Is there a sublet culture of ironic misogyny and real, authentic misogyny? Because if there is, can I sign up to it? I want to get to that newsletter. I would like to receive promotions and subscription model updates about that subset of gaming. Because that subset of gaming sounds based as fuck. It probably also sounds fun and entertaining. Is it, by chance, the same kind of game creation that allows for the creation of things like Iron Sky and Iron Sky The New Age? A send-up of spoof films that use Nazis as a joke, but the joke is actually Nazis built a base on the moon, and they're also the lizard people called the Vril, and they are so dismantled that by the time of the second film, one of the racist main characters of the Nazi party has had a mixed race child with a black man. Is it possibly that level of ironic gaming? Because if it's as good as the ironic films are, like Kung Fury and Iron Sky and its sequel, then dude, sign me the fuck up! Because I love laughing at things that we make jokes of. But in your worldview, if I dress up as the thing, that means that the joke is that I think that they're good. It's a bit like the logic of hearing the stupidity that came out of the mouth of extra credits, that if you make fun of the Nazis, you're actually celebrating them. If I mock you, is that making me pro-you? I suppose if I do things like this, that it somehow makes me pro-EU, and therefore we should vote Remain.
You should never do that. You never go full bureaucrat. You never go full bureaucrat.
You never go full Macintosh, and you never go full bureaucrat.
If you want to go full bureaucrat, do it in your own Senate. At least you have a constitution that's worth a damn.
And I play video games, it can't be true. Everyone knows that gaming culture is very toxic. I've made videos about this.
Gaming culture. What gaming culture? Whose gaming culture? What sublet of that gaming culture?
Fighting games, sure, maybe, yeah.
I mean, FGC is an entire beast on itself. We're a self-regulating unit. You either are gonna be able to handle it, or you can't. And by that, what I mean is, if anybody knows this clip, now, video game fighters, FGC players all around, please rise for the national anthem of somebody getting fucked.
Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked.
Get fucked! 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 Please note the group of black men chanting as a nigga gets his ass whooped on Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition! That gaming culture? Is that the gaming culture we're talking about? Because, bro, that seems fun!
Like, here's the thing. That is the type of old school gaming that I miss, because that is funny as fuck. That is just pure gaming community right there. Love it. 100%. Like, this is what LAN parties were made for. This is what physical copies were made for.
Oh my god.
I miss the old days, man. Take me back.
This is how you know Carl's fat. This is starting to wind me. And yet, when you say gaming culture, you're not talking about them. You're talking about these cringe motherfuckers. Ah, shit.
Which cringe?
Don't worry, Carl. You're not the only fat fuck in this call.
When you niggas say gaming culture,
Black hairstyle.
you mean niggas like Goofy Wise. You're not talking about niggas like me. You're not talking about Monday Mitten Masher. You're not talking about Yipes. Shit. You're not talking about Justin Wong. You're not talking about Marlon Pie. You're not even talking about people, which you have to include his dumbass, even though he's probably the worst thing to come out of it. You're not even talking about Sonic Fox. You're not talking about Rockaway Carter. You're not even talking about Lower Tier God. Or all the trans people that we have policed the fuck out of because they wanted to talk shit about ideas and not get that ass whooped on the game. You're talking about people who are not in the culture, who are effectively tourists, or, to be as genuinely fair as possible, casual gamers. You're not talking about being a part of a culture. You're talking about people who would have walked around the group of people who are singing the national anthem of Get Fucked, saying, what are those guys doing over there? That looks weird. I think they're weird. And then walking away. But then, after realizing how popular it is, saying, yeah, I was always a fan. Get fucked. Get fucked. Get fucked. That's what you losers are doing. That's your culture. That's what Gamergate was to you. It was everybody who was in that circle doing the chant turn around and you'd be like, nigga, what the fuck are you doing? What you mean gamers are dead? We out here gaming, nigga, what you mean? But no, the black man is wrong. He knows nothing about this. The only person who's correct is the breadtuber, or in this case, crumbtuber, telling me that my worldview is both wrong, unbased, unwashed, and chud-like.
Culture online on YouTube is very toxic, extremely right-leaning, always talking about anti-SJWs, cultural Marxism, the infiltration of video games by communists and stuff like that. It's very common. You can see why it's quite easy to steer people to more radical beliefs if they're into this gaming culture online. You also have games like World War II games, like Hearts of Iron, where people actually generally do love the Nazis and stuff. But in general, Western gaming culture is pretty fertile ground for more radical ideologies to flourish. It's just something that's true. Does not mean that everyone who plays video games is some sort of Nazi. It just means hardcore gamer culture, and people in it sometimes can be more susceptible to stuff. I made a whole video on that as well. But the Axeman said something similar about this when he was talking about Anita Sarkeesian, is that gaming is extremely welcoming. Everyone can be a gamer, and everyone is welcome.
Video games serve as a sort of joint language and culture that brings us together. Through our shared passion for great interactive experiences, we find common ground.
You have to go looking for it to find the problematic racism. As someone who grew up playing video games on Xbox Live, think of Xbox Live lobbies, think of Modern Warfare 2 Search and Destroy, Modern Warfare 1 Search and Destroy.
You don't have to play online games. The fact...
Furthermore, if you genuinely believe the people who were screaming racial slurs in Modern Warfare 2 were actually racist, then I'm sorry, but I've got a bridge to sell you.
The behavior of Xbox Live lobbies and the behavior of all multiplayer experiences are always unrated by the ESRB. Because the ESRB cannot rate the wild, unstable network matrix that is the social contagion of online behavior. They can't control for it. And even in the quests for hate mail, where people would play games like that of the Soul series, and when they get ganked and invaded and beaten down by better players than them, would rage message them afterwards. It is a literal franchise and content creation in and of itself. that it put people like that of Oboro, Fighter PL, Albino, and other such Dark Souls content creators on the fucking map. I will play a sample for you. This is from Dark Souls 1. Very old game. Do not play it on Steam. They took away the original edition and put the remastered version in. It is a more inferior version of the game. You will never get this kind of online experience back. I'll only play a little bit of this along so that you can be able to see the hate mail in itself.
Oh yeah, we got gangsters. Let's do this. Yeah, it's a blue. Wow. Yes. Uh-oh. You scared? You dead. Ah, there he is.
I'm gonna try to look for a section where there's some hate mail on screen.
Oh man. Oh shit, gangsters, there they are. Okay,
there we go.
This is why you don't trust blues. Uh-oh. Oh my god. This is why you don't trust blues. You got a problem? You got a fucking problem? Yeah, I should have killed him right there. Yeah, look at that fucking scumbag blue. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, scumbag. I should have killed you while you were fighting him. What is this? Oh shit.
Yo, how did you cast Dark Moon Blade if you're not in the Dark Moon?
I am the Dark Moon, and I am the Dark Moon, but I use the Red Eye Orbs to invade as a red.
Oh, I'm a Dark Moon Blade also.
That's cool.
That noob has killed me 4 times in a row.
Well, wait, were you the guy that was just trying to kill me?
I was the one I was the host. I was the brass.
Ah, I see. Okay.
I'm being invaded again.
Well, nice try, and I'll see you next time.
As soon as I saw you were Dark Moon, I'm like, yeah, it's another Dark Moon.
Yeah, I'll see you next time. I'll see you next time. I gotta go.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. God damn it, I'll never get.
Gamer culture, guys. They're all racist. Every single interaction is nothing but hateful people. That kid was fucking nice to Oboro. A literal squeaker. Just like, ayo, bro, you got me. But I saw that guy fighting me, and it was like a whole fucking thing. Not a single epithet was said! But no. All of them hateful, little, racist, Trump-like bigots.
Like, literally, I'm sorry, but that interaction was just... It was so innocuous. It was just, hey, are you the other guy with the Dark Moon Blade? Yeah, he killed me a bunch of times. Oh, did he? Well, I managed to kill him. Oh, okay. See you next time. It's like, that is 99% of interactions with strangers over a video game. Like, the whole, like, shouting racial slur stuff, which, again, aren't usually done by actually racist people, this so, like, it only ever happens in either, like, high testosterone fucking, like, Call of Duty lobbies or Halo lobbies, and, like, only when it's, like, I would say, like, late teens to early 20s boys.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, like, not every single video game's online experience is a SinglePlayerCarl League of Legends stream. Not every single one of them is that. And in those rare occasions, for those of you in the audience who are new here who have never seen it and experienced it, not going to play the whole thing for you. I'll just show you an example of the behavior from the live, or not even live. Let's use the highlights as the example. Even when we get the on-screen racism from people in the chat rooms that are incapable of taking accountability for their stupidity, that will actively slander and slur and antagonize, and lie, and cheat, and insult people in the games. Even in these scenarios and situations where this happens. If I can find the fucking screen on question. There we go. There we go. Even in these situations where these people can be used as an example of how they're willing to do the most to try and antagonize someone, as you can see here from this little screen cap here on screen in the middle of this video. Even when people dedicate their time, oh, whoa, for another $5. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Even when you get those examples of unabashed, unironic, literally we said we're going to harass you, but then when they get caught on it, it's, no, listen. It was not a group of people. It was one person. This person is not connected to us. It was a single lone wolf. Even in those situations, that is not the entirety of gaming. It is just, in your case, very shitty people behaving shittily. Everybody can do it. Everybody can be guilty of it, even myself. And yet, it is the ability to come away from it and be able to remove yourself from the nigga moment and say, I'm not you. Just like you could for a Boondock joke of saying, I don't need to get in a nigga moment. I'm white. But y'all niggas can't do it. Even then, it's not justified. Even then, you're talking horse shit. Even then, you're still a dickhead, you dickhead. I'm not Richard Lewis, but the way he says dickhead, you just have to see it to believe it, folks. Even then, you don't have a point. You're just talking shit. Because you've gotten nothing but this experience. Because you're probably the problem there. There's only one thing that can be the same in all these situations. There's only one factor that never changes. It's probably you.
And I've had people in the comments also say, as a black person or an Asian person, I've been met with so much racism. It was essentially an unfiltered place to say whatever you want back in the day.
No, what probably happened was that they made a point of announcing themselves, and then people singled them out because they asked for it. Instead of just simply learning how to deal. These environments are tumultuous, and they're high velocity, but the way to deal with them is to lean in. You leaned back, so you got caught on the chin. And then when you caught one on the chin, you made it your personal goal to shoot that person, instead of giving them one back on the chin. If you learn to deal with the hazing stops. If you learn how to be able to monetize the hazing also stops. There's a point where you should be able to tell the difference between they're just having fun to this person is targeting me. A person calling you a racial epithet for no other reason than because they decided to racially attack you, yes, then you can say it's a hodgepodge and a hotbed of racism. If a person singles you out because you decided to approach them with unrational opinions, a behavior, and reactions to a normal and innocuous thing, you are the problem.
And if you were online for any amount of time, the amount of racial slurs, all this Nazi stuff you would find online was so common. It was basically like this melting pot of Western men all saying this stuff. And I compared it to football culture in the UK, where it was just a safe space to be as racist as possible. And anyone who's been online from 2007, say, to now would have had some experience of that.
Just in.
First of all, not only does this show that he misunderstands gaming culture, this also shows that he misunderstands football culture as well. Because football culture is probably the one thing that binds people of all races in the UK together. Like, everyone loves football in this country. Even people who don't like football will watch, like, the World Cup and stuff like that. It is a nationally binding thing. You are talking out of your arse.
What's worse is, this just in, all Western men are Nazis. And any person with any kind of socialization on the internet should just know it, obviously.
Carl, I didn't know you were a Nazi. I didn't know you were a Nazi.
Didn't you know, my great-grandpappy was a member of the Negrowaffen SS Brigade. He manned the Flammenwaffe. Then he retired to his loving wife with blue eyes in Argentina.
It was directed at you, or whether you just overheard people saying it in these chat rooms.
Wow. Dude, what do you fucking do? Dude, you talk shit like a loser. I thought you just won. You're talking shit like a little bitch. Hey, I'm better than more than half your fucking team. Look at where I'm at. I'm above you. Show you now. 23. You like getting raped? Is that what you're talking about? Because I show you stuff like this when I got you fucking back right now. You can't open your mouth and suck it, motherfucker. You just chill the fuck out.
And yes, it's okay to be...
Truly, a hotbed of misogyny and racism. Let's listen to that again.
And yes, it's okay to be a gamer, but as someone who's very passionate about video games, you also have to admit the problems that comes with it. It doesn't mean the video games you're making make people this way. There are other problems with how video games make you feel about certain elements of history or stuff like that, but they don't make you into Nazis. It's just the culture online.
Certain elements of history that predispose you to being Nazis. One more time. It was not retarded. We have to listen to it again.
And yes, it's okay to be a gamer, but as someone who's very passionate about video games, you also have to admit the problems that comes with it. It doesn't mean the video games you're making make people this way. There are other problems with how video games make you feel about certain elements of history or stuff like that, but they don't make you into Nazis. It's just the culture online.
It is a culture online for certain elements of your gameplay to make people feel a certain way about certain elements of history. Removed from the context of, I call white men Nazis because I don't like them, this would be a true statement. If a person is known for making video games that glorify Nazi behavior, not because it is specifically lampooning Nazis, but because it's somebody who played Wolfenstein and decided, you know what, there's not enough glory supporting of Nazis here. I need a poster board of Adolf Hitler and about why he was a flawed but intelligent leader. you would have a point, but that's not the point you're going for. You're going for, you played Wolfenstein on the hardest difficulty, therefore, you're a Bernie bro, and a gamer Nazi, and a chud, and whatever other insult I want you to be, because who would even do that? Who would even play the game like that? That's your argument. You're dumb.
Anyway, it's like 4 channels. Don't have to get so offended and make a whole video about how it's okay to be a gamer. So now let's get into the more explicit politics that leave behind the video game. So I made a video called The Injustice of Social Justice, and he's basically talking about diversity in Hollywood and the wage gap.
The distribution of racial demographics in Hollywood movies. Social justice advocates will point to numbers like those represented in this chart and complain that clearly Hollywood favors casting white people to the detriment of other races. They proclaim that the system is broken and must now be fixed. But when we look at US racial demographics and consider that Hollywood is in the business of providing entertainment to the entire country, we can see that there's actually a high correlation between inputs and outputs. Modifying the system to produce, say, twice as many Asian characters wouldn't reflect a more accurate representation. It would only serve to further a social engineering agenda. Or consider the much-touted wage gap alleged to exist between women and men. Charts, like this one, used during the 2012 presidential campaign, showed that women were being paid only 77 cents for every dollar that a man earns for doing the same work. But it was based entirely on some demographic outputs that deliberately ignored inputs into the system, such as education, experience, job position, and hours worked. When these inputs are taken into account, the wage gap narrows to being less than 3%, and that difference is likely due more so to assertiveness in individual salary negotiations than to anything systematic. It is also worthwhile to point out that it has been illegal since the Equal Pay Act of 1963 to discriminate wages based upon sex or race. So in the few cases in the US where this still may be happening, tools are already in place to remedy the situation.
Like you saw in that video, firstly with the diversity thing, he's saying that white men being dominant in Hollywood isn't actually that bad when you break it down by the demographics, and it's not actually that bad in terms of the audience for movies and stuff. This guy...
Because it's not. Because Hollywood makes audience fodder for the audience that watches films. Even in feminist films like that of Birds of Prey, the majority of people who are watching are white. Specifically, in terms of Birds of Prey, 54% of the audience that Gary Conway went on to bitch at and moan about were white. Just like the people who are playing the games usually are white. White, middle-class, earning wage, affluent males who live at home with their family or by themselves, who want to play games as a form of unwinding from their job. If they're not people who are living paycheck to paycheck, or are starving artists like myself, or are creatives like the majority of people in my audience or my associates, who are simply making what they want to make and playing what they want to play because they want to do those things. There's no world where you're going to have an argument for that, because what you're arguing is a system that should now be applied to all film markets. So, by that logic, referring to the film that I mentioned before, Triple R, for those who have not watched it, Rise, Revolt, Roar, I think is the proper title. In the case of Triple R, for a film that has literally 2, technically 3, but I don't count the wife character as a character because she's more like there to supplement the English general's barbarism towards the Indian occupants. 2 white characters in the film that have actual characterization. One being a white woman who helps one of the characters continue the plot, and the other who is the villain responsible for the inciting incident that created the plot between the two protagonists of the story. In Bollywood, they cast white characters when they need a minority character to fill a specific role, either as a white savior or as a white devil. The majority of their films are made for the Indian and Telugu audiences. Are you suggesting that they should hire black people because you feel like it would be equitable? You are not. Because for them, to you, they are a minority. They're part of the global majority. They're making films the correct way. You want to impose your ideas and your tantamount regime to Hollywood. And Hollywood does not make films for you, the bedroom feminist. Or, in this case, male feminist and socialist. They make films for the general audience. And the general audience is white. Everybody else being addressed by that, by them hiring the actors that they either want or that they believe are the best fit for the role, that is what your diversity gets to. And yes, there are times where people are going to complain and say, I don't like the fact that Idris Elba is Heimdall. And to those people I say, shut the fuck up. Did he not serve? Did he not slay? Did he not put his whole Badissi in the role? And now that he's gone...
He was Knuckles.
Yeah, and when he was cast as Knuckles, did he not put his whole Badissi in the role? Did he not demonstrate, as they then hired Colleen Shanagasi for Tails, the actress that has been voicing her for the last 20 years? When they hired her and they did not marginalize her out of her role, as I expect they might do for other characters, when they brought that character in and gave him the proper fucking work that he needed, the same way they did for Sonic being voiced by a comedian, basically. The same way they did for majority of people, like James Marsden, and having to be the white male who's always in these extra-dimensional buddy cop situations. When they did that, did they do it specifically because, listen, bro, we know you gotta get James Marsden on the product, but we gotta get some niggatry with this shit. Let this Knuckles have some knuckles from them goddamn dreads, nigga. Let's get Idris Elba. We need a black man voicing him. They did not do that. They just simply casted him. Now let's just hope they don't get an incel. I can't even make the joke. Let's just hope they don't get an incel to play Shadow.
Please don't.
Oh god.
Some man needs some proper representation. He needs like some guy with an edgy voice. I don't know, like
Yuri Lowenthal. I would take Yuri Lowenthal, honestly.
Yeah, I mean he's well established and he has experience.
I'd take Crispin Freeman. I'd take Yuri Lowenthal. I would take Nolan North, trying to do his brattiest voice possible. Shit, I would even take one of the actresses from Honey Pop doing their best interpretation if they can find a woman who can do a butch enough voice for it. I would take anything other than somebody who thinks that the jokes of Hannah Gadsby is funny. Because my soul would fucking die. I would take Aziz Ansari as Shadow, okay? He doesn't even need to put on a voice. Just let him have Aziz's voice and just rant the way that Aziz does. It'd be fucking hilarious. Because then it would be diverse and funny and entertaining. Let's continue.
Obviously doesn't, assess the power dynamic. Even if you had, a film industry that was representative of the American population by the amount of people acting, let's say actors in general, what he still leaves out is that most top-tier actors, most famous actors are white men still. Doesn't matter if, loads of the supporting roles or
and women. White men and women.
The extra roles were all going to, a proportional amount of minorities. Hollywood primarily is still white-owned, primarily stars white men and women. Even the films that are...
No, it's mainly Jewish-owned!
I didn't want to get too spicy on there. I was going to say, there are certain people who would suggest that the people who own Hollywood aren't exactly white. It really depends on who you ask, mate.
We can't talk about that. No. We can't talk about the Jewish people. You can't talk about the gems of the religion of the God Yahweh. No. We can't talk about those people. It's just a coincidence. It's not happening, and if it is, it's good that it is.
Look. If you want an acceptable demographic to tell you the exact same thing, go ask the Nation of Islam or the Black Hebrew Israelites. They'll tell you exactly what we're telling you, but from a perspective that you would be willing to accept as a leftist.
Oh, whoa, another $5 from Not Applicable. Thank you, boys. You're so generous. The brain cells that it takes to say white and realize that when you're talking about a skin color, you're not mentioning the culture is beyond me. Because, and I need to say it every time, because there are people who are brain dead enough that when they watch it back, they'll say differently. Being descendant from Jewish people is not the same as being religiously Jewish. Just because you're of Ashkenazi descent, dumbass that will not be named, but is responsible for one of our adpocalypses, does not mean the same thing as being religiously Jewish. And for those who have married into the Jewish faith or into a Jewish heritage by having a white baby mama, Jordan Peele, or by marrying and having a baby mama who happens to be white, Childish Gambino. She's not even necessarily Jewish. She's just niggas hate him because he has a white baby mama and he's black. Or if you are like any of the black male actors that have been hired for Marvel products, like that of Mike Coulter as Power Man / Luke Cage and his very, very thick white wife, just because they happened to marry them and be successful around them did not mean they sold out to be them. And just because you are Jewish, like, not Rebecca Flowers. That's not her last name.
Rebecca Sugar.
No, not Rebecca. Well, Rebecca Sugar, yes, but it's a different Rebecca. It's the creator of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, that Rebecca. She recently made a new show called Reboot. I think it's on Hulu Plus, or if it's not on fucking QB or something. Hold on, it'll take me a second. Because I was about to say the fictionalized name that she gave herself for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. 1 second. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend TV show. Rachel Bloom. if you're like Rachel Bloom, and you are Jewish, but you never make a stink about being Jewish, you just make what you make, and you go from there. Or you're like one of her co-stars, Donna Lynn Champlin, who is out here being white, literally being that white woman. And when I say that white woman, I mean that white woman. The fat! The fat! The fat! The fat! The fat! The fat! Even when you're these people, they never make an issue of themselves the way people do. Regardless of their weight! Regardless of their ethnicity! Regardless of any of that shit! That is never the problem. The Hollywood having Jewish people acting, directing, screenwriting, screenplaying, casting, and even owning the companies that are producing the films is not a problem. It could be a problem systemically that you're never gonna address, because if it's happening, it's not happening, but if it is, it's good. Even when that happens, that is not a justification to burn the system down. Remove people in power until they start acting more in line with, you know, not being systemically like this. But besides all of that, that is not a justification to lie your ass off. You just don't like when white people are in film. You want to replace them. Tell the truth.
Are marketed to different audiences, like the Chinese audience. Like, for example, remember that Great Wall film? Someone starring Matt.
Also, funny that you mentioned the Chinese! How do you think they care about us niggas, huh?
Like Pedro Pascal and stuff, but it was marketed at China. But this guy doesn't understand the power dynamics, so this goes into the wage gap thing. So he starts talking about the wage gap and how it doesn't exist, essentially. And the problem with it is that
the wage gap cannot exist, because if the wage gap exists, it means somebody has just broken the rule that you just listened to was written into word of law. It has been illegal since 1964. Technically, since 1961, but definitely outlawed and justified and enforced since 1970. Stop talking horseshit.
People don't really say the wage gap means, like, I work the same job as a woman and we're being paid different amounts, right? He's saying that doesn't exist because in JFK's day, he signed a law about equal pay. Now, the difference is that men have higher positions in jobs, meaning that men's...
No! Men have sought higher positions and work harder. And there are women who have sought positions that if they want to be workaholics and earn that much as a female CEO, they can. But they don't want to, because they don't want to work that hard. So they take an easier job, or they marry someone who has the high-paying job, and then, because of one divorce, becomes one of the richest people in the world by matter of that divorce. Quote, every single person who's divorced a person as rich as Jeff Bezos. Horseshit. Stop talking it.
Income as a whole is way more than women's. He puts this down to women not being as assertive in salary negotiations. How does anyone believe this stuff? It's obvious that we have...
Because women don't like to be pushy? Because when they get called pushy, they get called bossy and rude? And social perceptions rule the female-dominant hierarchy of society?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't be bossy. You can't do that.
Women to reach the higher echelons, all that stuff, because they face systemic sexism. But in a guy's view...
Systemic sexism. The systemic sexism of, excuse me, I worked on this project, I deserve my fair pay, and I'm not going to step down until you give me what I'm earned. How rude!
If you don't believe in systemic racism and sexism, the only reason women aren't paid as much in the workforce is because they're not as assertive in salary negotiations.
The only reason why women are not paid more is because they're not assertive. Extrapolate this to the entirety of society. The only reason why women somehow get date raped is because when the rapist started raping, she was like, excuse me, what the fuck? I didn't consent to this. Go the fuck away. I have mace. The only reason why women are accosted at nightclubs and asked if they want to dance is because they didn't go, excuse me, what the fuck? I'm with my girls. The only reason why women can't get the best piece of fruit at the produce line is because there was another woman in front of her who was even kinder while being abrasive enough to put a knife in her spine to say, excuse me, I'm trying to get that pineapple. Can I have that pineapple, please? Oh, sure, you can have it. Here you go. Can you move the knife from my bag? Hey, thanks. The only reason why women are not finding boyfriends is because they weren't assertive to say, this is actually one that's true, because they weren't assertive to say, listen, I want to take you home, lock you up in my basement, and maybe once in a while I'll give you water as I crush your head with my thighs. So true, so true, so true, and epically based!
Again, this guy is people's boss. You can be a woman working at WB Games, and this is the guy you have to answer to. The guy who believes that if you are paid less, if you cannot reach the high echelons of a company, anything like that, it's because you weren't assertive in your
It's interesting that he thinks this guy is like a danger to women because of his views.
Whenever they see, it's whenever they see somebody who does not echo their worldview in a position of what they deem to be power, they scream their heads off until they can remove them from seat of power because they perceive that position to be as important as the President of the United States. If every single talking head isn't parroting their worldview, they are a problem.
More assertive, so they make more money based primarily on that. Ridiculous logic, but again, that's why I feel bad. This guy's in a position of power, because we've all had crap bosses, we've all had awful bosses. Imagine if your boss also believed all this stuff is guys.
It sounds like he wasn't a crap boss. The amount of people who have defended him, it sounds like he's actually on his shit. But hey, what does he know? He's just gotten nothing but support from the WB when he was hired on as their designer in 2019, and has been nothing but cordial in most of his appearances with people that he wants to talk to. And when asked to defend himself, he didn't go onto a rant saying, "You evil, rapist, feminist, sexist, misogynist, hating men and women, how dare you get me fired? You'll burn the pit of hell!" He did not do that. He said, please listen to convailing sources and ask yourself, why are they doing this? He is not even an iota of an ounce of 1% of a percentile of you.
Saying, while being an extreme pro-capitalist who quotes Thomas Sowell all the time. So last one, he made a video about our thought crimes becoming real, and he basically just posted some documents he's been having on Facebook. But he says there's no evidence Donald Trump is a racist.
So the next conversation I had was on Facebook with one of my left-leaning friends about the alleged motivations of President Donald Trump. I sometimes take issue with some of the mass media representations of Trump that seem to me to be driven more by a left-leaning political agenda and based more on their personal distaste for him as a person than upon his actual actions. But the gist of our discussion was that he, as someone on the left, was convinced that Donald Trump is a racist. I told him that while there may be plenty to criticize Trump about, I didn't see that there's enough to arrive at the conclusion that he is being motivated in what he does by racism. I would love it if Trump was swept from office in 2020 and replaced by someone better suited for the position. I really don't like the guy's personality, and I think his narcissistic TV boss personality is embarrassing.
Was that? Troy Leavitt does not worship at the altar of Trump. He actually dislikes him, and he has criticism of him, and yet he doesn't believe that the man's racist because a person who was a leftist business Democrat who immediately saw an opportunity and took it and became president of the United States, that man is clearly a racist bigot. Never mind all those pictures with rappers, political figures, members of the current serving Democratic parties and positions of office. No. He's a racist because he won against Hillary Trump, and that Hillary Trump ticket of him winning for the Republicans means he was clearly a Nazi in disguise the entire time. He wasn't even in disguise. Look at his hair.
It's like he was a Russian spy. You don't understand.
I cringe when he speaks and fear for the diplomatic damage he's doing as a representative of the U.S. All that being said, I also think that the Trump is a racist or Trump is a Russian lapdog tropes that the left seems obsessed with are the mirror images of the birther conspiracies or Obama is an Islamist hallucinations that were on the right when he was president. These sorts of allegations purport to know the true heart and intentions of the president. They're very much like conspiracy theories that selectively pick and choose tidbits of data to sketch out some kind of case that is compelling only to those who already want to believe it. There are all kinds of valid things to criticize Trump about, but smearing him as a closet white supremacist seems desperate and childish.
Not only was there no evidence Trump was a racist by the end of 2017, Charlottesville, his presidential campaign, his history.
Charlottesville, something that had nothing to do with Trump and had nothing to do with Republicans, but was about a fringe movement led by fucking online losers like that of Richard Spencer, a person who you allowed to join the Democratic arms because he was willing to say Trump bad, and people on the internet who are unconnected to these groups outside of anything that has to do with people like Richard Spencer and Nicholas Fuentes, a person who you deplatformed from the internet, who has absolutely no clout of his own to the point that he has to rely on people like Destiny to platform him because his opinion, his views, his ideology, and his very existence is antithetical and caustic to anything that he supports. All these things together means that actually he's not these things, but you need him to be these things because listen, bro, listen, no, listen, shut up.
With the Central Park 5, that after they were proved innocent, he still said they should get the death penalty. His dad was in the KKK. Donald Trump ran segregated apartments after the civil rights was passed. Not only does he believe that, but
his dad was in the KKK. I'm calling cap.
Didn't Trump have like a black girlfriend at one point as well? Because that's another interesting thing. I was like, all right, very racist if he has a black girlfriend. Then you're not supposed to ask a white supremacist the race of his girlfriend.
He's a civil rights era New Yorker. It would be very difficult for him to be racist. An upper middle class one as well.
I would feel
he's
like
the exact demographic that would not be racist.
I feel that being a rich Manhattaner living in New York City would make you predisposed to not being racist, but instead being classist.
Yeah, it's very likely that throughout most of his I would be much more open to believing that his whole pro middle America shtick, which he used to get elected in 2016, was fake, as opposed to him actually being a racist. Do I think it's fake? No, because I think obviously people grow with age. But I would certainly believe if he ran for president, say in the 80s, yeah, I would probably think it was fake.
I am more likely to believe that the Trump family as a whole would be classist and not racist, because they understand that the majority of the races that live around them, not just in their host city of New York, the host state of New York and the host cities of New York State itself, is much likely to be a place where they're going to go down to the bodega, see one of their regular workers at the Trump Tower, but then they have to go to a bodega to get a sandwich, and they're going to start roasting the shit out of the bodega owner because they don't happen to have the right kind of bread that they usually eat on their sandwiches. It's more likely that something like that would happen than you saying the man who's willing to be in music videos, who's willing for people to cite him in their music to the point that they want to be rich like Donald Trump, is somehow an undercover racist that for years treated black people, both in politics, in business, in private behaviors of society, and in his inner circle, like how Alizé treated the rappers who gave them free publicity in their music, only for them to turn around and say, oh, they don't support us? No problem. I'm just going to make my own liquor and promote that, like has already happened. I'm citing actual hip-hop history at the moment, right now. You're saying to me that Donald Trump is to blacks as Alizé was to rappers. You're lying. And on the subject of Trump's father being a Nazi, no, he was arrested after a clash at a Ku Klux rally. He was not a member of the rally. I'm literally looking at it right now, and all the pieces that have fact-checked this little fucking tidbit of a lie. Especially including you people photoshopping them wearing KKK robes. I don't even think they have the photo in question. Hold on.
Well, why are they into photoshopping people into being Nazis or KKK? This has happened more than once. It seems like they're trying to tell us something.
Here. So, here is the faked photo. Here is the original stock footage that it came from, with him and his father. Another Facebook post where it's been photoshopped. And this one has already been taken down. So, lies, damned lies, horrible statistics, and where you don't have more statistics, lies, and damn lies, absolute bullshit. This is a pattern.
He says it's the same as the right saying that Obama was a Muslim and the birtherism conspiracy theory. It's funny he mentioned birtherism, and in the same post, he says Donald Trump isn't racist. Donald Trump led the birther movement. You're even contradicting yourself in your own point. So
Trump was doing what he needed to drum up political garbage to be able to get people to elect him. He had people who were low informational voters, and people who are low information voters don't care about facts and logic. They care about tribalism. Yes, that's a problem. This is probably the one time you've said something that's correct. Yes, Trump doing that is really embarrassing. And yet, you have allowed for so much worse to happen that I don't care. Because in the same breath you say this, where are all those people that are doing the exact thing to people who are disagreeing with things like COVID? You're nowhere. Because you don't care. You don't care about the issues or the people.
that is this guy. This is Troy Leavitt. And let's get into my final point. Should this guy be fired for his views? Now, that is up to WB. That is up to the company. If they have some sort...
They didn't fire him. He chose to resign.
code of ethics or code of conduct which sort of forbids views like this, you know, minimizing racism, saying systemic sexism doesn't exist. I'm sure these companies, especially WB and someone who's making Harry Potter, would say Harry Potter's for everyone, we stand with Black Lives Matter, we stand against sexism and stuff, but then this guy's high up in the studio. Now, my main problem with this guy does not come from a creative standpoint, although I don't think having these views really makes you a good creative, considering you're just promoting the status quo and rejecting, you know, everything, you know, we're criticizing the culture at the moment, which we have facts to back us up and stuff.
Just then, if you want to create a game that allows for all people to play and join together and be able to rise above tribalism, this man says he's a liar, he's not qualified for his position, and he's a horrible boss.
My main problem is this guy is people's boss. And, you know, I made my video back in December when I quit my job talking about how awful my boss was. I didn't know her political view.
Is there possibly a reason why you must be talking about bosses then? One more time?
This guy is people's boss. And, you know, I made my video back in December when I quit my job talking about how awful my boss was. I didn't know her political views. I know she was extremely pro-capitalist. But if you're a woman or a minority working for this guy, how do you feel? How do you feel this guy rejects that systemic racism exists in America? How do you feel this guy...
Probably the way that you felt when you quit about your boss being... do you ever mention what they did to you? Probably not.
Rejects systemic sexism exists. How do you feel this guy not only believes these things, but goes on multiple videos ranting about this stuff? That's the problem here, I think.
Multiple videos ranting. Pure structured arguments and videos that demonstrate those arguments in a coherent and cogent method possible is ranting about subject matter. Meanwhile, what you've been doing is just clearly a dissertation breakdown of the elements that make Troy Leavitt a cancelable figure who shouldn't be canceled because you say so, but instead canceled by the WBA because you feel like he could be a bad boss because he doesn't hold your opinions to be sacrosanct.
Even saying Donald Trump isn't racist. This guy is not going to be most sensitive if you had a problem of racial discrimination in the workplace. So say it wasn't him, say someone else was racist to you at work or sexist to you. Go tell this guy, your boss. Go tell HR and then they have a conversation with your boss, Troy. How do you think he's going to act? How do you think he's going to react to the news of, you know, the stuff here? If Donald Trump isn't a racist in this guy's opinion, then who is a racist? If in someone's opinion calling Donald Trump a racist is the same as calling Obama,
you're the racist.
Apparently they're both nonsensical. Then again, how do you think this guy's going to deal with stuff at work? I sympathise with the people working at WB Games and Avalanche and having to deal with this guy. Who knows what he's like in person? But when you have such radical political views like this and such right-wing political views like this, and you're responsible for people's livelihoods, and I don't feel these guys who work at the studio would be probably treated that well. Anyway, that is it for the video. Let me know what you guys think in the description. Like the video and comment what you guys think. If you want to follow me on social media at The Tabernacle on Twitter and Instagram, come join our community at my subreddit and my Discord in the description. Support me on Patreon if you're feeling generous. And look at what we can look at what we can achieve if we keep supporting the channel. Imagine how many I could have, and you.
Have to remove the goddamn annotations because they're in the way.
Oh, so quirky and funny. Lots of Terry's chocolate orange. So quirky.
Look at what we can achieve if we.
Look, guys, if you support me and pay my fat ass, I can make a tower of capitalism. Literally, a figure of an ornament that, instead of being consumed, sits on my desk to liven up my settings. A literal adornment.
Like a little Funko Pop. Wow.
A literal adornment to my stupidity. A literal chocolate Funko Pop.
It really is like a shit version of a Funko Pop background, isn't it? Oh, Terry's chocolate orange background, so quirky, so interesting. I have personality.
I don't understand them.
My soul is on fire. Anywho,
Terry's chocolate orange isn't even that nice anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really proves it's all about them chocolate bunnies.
I prefer Kinder Balls. But anywho,
I haven't had Kinder in a hot minute.
They've always been sold out where I have them. It sucks. I really want one, even though the candy would probably get stuck in my gap. I just really want one. But anywho, that is the video, ladies and gentlemen. We'll wrap up our stream because it is currently 10:15. We started the stream late after I took a nap because I did 13 hours streaming earlier yesterday and this morning. I don't want to keep you all here longer than I should. However, as Jethro plays me out, this has been Versus Chat with me, Carl, and you in the chat room. If you would like to support this kind of content, not just to pay me, but to pay my editors, you can be able to support the stream. Consider becoming a patron of Ko-fi.com and Subscribestar at /SinglePlayerCarl. Consider donating to the page and donating to the audience chat during these live streams, as people have generously done so today. And if you too would like to become one whose wizardry is down to niggardry, consider becoming a watcher here on YouTube and on Twitch. We will be playing Hogwarts Legacy starting Friday, so get yourself in while you can and be there on the ground floor to help this black man put the dreads in locks. Dreads and warlocks, that was the joke. We will be able to see you. Same bat time, same Carl channel. Good night, everybody.
No.
No night.
Well, that was fun.
I'm still alive. I'm wiggling my hand for effect. There's been a problem where people have talked about there have been pieces of the stream that have been missing. So I want to give the time, I want to give the encoder enough time to be able to process the end of the stream, because it immediately stops after it hits the stop streaming button.
Yeah, I've had the same problem. I just cut myself off and leave it for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's an issue of the new backend that they use for the live stream. It's a serious issue that they have yet to fix. You guys can do all the things you can to try and put labels and tags under our videos about issues we need to be careful to talk about, but y'all niggas can't fix shit that hell allows us to do the business better. These niggas need content and you're preventing me from giving it to them! These people want their peanuts served by a coconut.
But furthermore, guys, if there's a topic you would like to hear, like us talk about, I'm sure you can send it to Carl via his Discord.
Yes.
Or you can send it to me, and I'll make a video about it if I find it interesting. So, because I make very similar content to Carl, or at least I do now. So, because I don't do purely political stuff anymore. So yeah, just a thought. You can find me at Anglo Halfling on Twitter. Just give me a DM. My DM's always open.
My DMs are always open, ladies and gentlemen. They are open on both of my accounts. Both First Player Carl, that is the number 1, ST Player Carl, or Caramel Cajun, the secondary account that I'm making to a backup. I currently have it privated because it's going to be used as a backup in case, but if you have already been following me there, you can simply send me a DM, either on my first account, or you can be able to make a message on one of the community posts, or have somebody send a message here, or join the chat room on any of my streams and let me know. But again, I will see you all later. Same Carl time, same Carl channel. My supporter is Anglo Halfling and the Halfling on YouTube. I think Saffron's already left. No, she hasn't.
I'm still here.
Don't you still have your channel?
I have a YouTube channel, but I never use it. I don't know what kind of content I can even make. I don't have like much confidence in myself to like, really be funny or like interesting.
You can make edits of me and then promote them to the audience.
Edit.
We have to feed my ego. We must do it. We have to create the counter. And the only way to counter brain dead stupid people on the left is to make extremely intelligent, but also possibly retarded savant people in the independent middle.
Well, I have no experience with like video editing. Like I don't even know how to do that.
It's just a suggestion. I mean, Moon's been doing it for a while now, and I don't think he has any professional experience.
I know.
It's a suggestion.
It's like all I know how to do is like draw moderately okay.
You can always make fan art.
Well, yeah, that's true.
True. But again,
I mean, I'm still trying to like, ponder if I should make like fan art of people at all, because I'm kind of,
You can always go Bugsy's route and just make some extremely hot hardcore porn. I'm serious. He makes money off it. But in any case, same bat time, same Carl channel. I will see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.